What?
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is March 24th, 2021. This is episode 315. And today, assault weapons fault. And you know me, I'm not a 50-year-old Japanese man pretending to be a female biker, but I am your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz. I'm just a normie triggering Asian American millennial podcaster. That's all I am.
I like it.
Welcome to the podcast where we praise Jesus while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And we are here to bring you the absurd.
We are here. The absurd. Yeah, it's interesting how the absurd and mainstream news are the same category in our book.
Yeah, it seems like the realm of satire has become just normal.
It's all an illusion.
Yeah.
I do want to just right off the bat encourage everybody watching, wherever you're watching, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't regret it.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
Thank you very much. Very important to let those algorithms know how much you like it in the first 5 minutes of the broadcast. Helps share the show with other people. Also, before we get into the good stuff, I do want to also remind everybody about joining the newsletter. Is it a newsletter? The mailing list.
Yeah, it's a mailing list.
Yeah, in this world of, disappearing content creators, it's hard to find us without an intermediary service like YouTube or Twitch or something like that. There's always the podcast, which you should definitely subscribe to the podcast version. But if you head over to canarycrynewstalk.com and click into one of the episodes, you should join the mailing list. That's a good sort of plan C in case we suddenly disappear from your life one day.
Yep. Very much so. And we're operating, or we're building or participating in the building of podcasting 2.0. And it's been very interesting to see how that's developed. Adam Curry of No Agenda, the podfather, the man who invented or co-invented the RSS feed, is taking charge and making sure that no matter how much censorship takes place on the internet, they cannot censor the RSS feed and the podcast, which seems to be holding up pretty strong despite all the stuff.
So far, so good. You can't cancel a podcast.
Yeah.
So there you go. For those who are worried about future internet censorship, make sure to join the mailing list. And also, I'm confused as to why I have to continue saying this, but definitely go follow on a podcast app. Any podcast app will do. We're on all of them. Just search Canary Cry News Talk. Okay, Gonz, anything exciting happened for you the past couple days?
Not really.
Okay. Yeah, not much.
Not much.
Not much going on in the 2 days between doing shows, especially right smack dab in the middle of the week. I did have a video game glitch on me on the last mission of the game, and I don't know what to do. It's really been an upset. And, you play a game for so many hours just to have it glitch on the last mission, and you can't have the satisfaction of finishing the game. So I think I have an underlying sort of ambience of anxiety about that today.
Okay. Well, good luck with that.
Thanks.
Hope they patch it up for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs a full-on patch. Allegedly, some other people have had the problems. And doesn't matter. I go back to a previous save point. It's like the quest has been deleted from the game. It's very frustrating.
Okay.
Okay. Well, anything you want to check in on before we talk about Flippy?
I don't think so. Do I have anything in my notes? I do not. Let's just get going here.
Okay, but real quick.
Yeah.
Because people are asking. The game is Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh.
Yeah.
New Age.
Yeah. It's New Age. You have no idea what you're talking about. But I will say that was the game a year or two ago. You identified the Nephilim. It made it into a Nephilim update where like the Nephilim are kind of mentioned in it.
Yeah.
Still not like a huge part of the game, but they do go pretty deep into the Nephilim and the Watchers theology. You know, part of the game takes place in the UK, like in England, ancient England, when the Vikings were coming over. And there's like Stonehenge and stuff like that. So they connected Stonehenge to the Nephilim.
Right. Very cool.
All right. Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, folks, if you're new to the show, let me tell you, Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new and fun and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world, and there's nothing we can do about it. Today, I've got a very interesting, it's actually coming from the Washington Post. I'm reading from an MSN Mirror of the Washington Post article. And, I thought it was about time we kind of catch up with the normie view of the robot revolution and see kind of what propaganda has been pushed out by Jeff Bezos here. Again, Washington Post, owned by Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, huge robot lover.
Owned by Satan.
That's unconfirmed. The headline is why it will be years before robot butlers take over your household chores.
Years, eh?
Cook dinner. What?
Years, eh?
Years. I know. That's really, 2 years maybe? Okay. Cook dinner, do the dishes, fold the laundry, likely other ordinary chores. Now, how much would you be willing to pay for that? Probably not much, or at least not nearly what it would cost to produce such a life-changing device. I think they're severely underestimating how much I don't want to do the dishes or fold laundry. But okay. There lies the crux of the issue. For at least a decade, robotics and AI firms have flexed their ability to create machines that can complete various practical household tasks. Last month, Boston Dynamics showed its Spot robot dog picking up clothing. Miso Robotics Flippy has been flipping burgers for years. Other startups have demoed laundry folding machines. The list goes on. More recently, news broke that Amazon may be closer to introducing a home robot capable of carrying things and following its owner's commands. But how likely is it that you'll ever be able to own a true robotic butler? Robots are indeed getting more complex as AI continues to advance. It allows machines to figure out more complex problems and reliably chat with humans. Still, robotics and AI firms say you'll have to wait quite some time before you're able to own anything remotely similar to Rosie the robot from the Jetsons. In fact, companies are having a hard time commercializing anything more complex than a Roomba, which has been vacuuming houses for 20 years. Quote, "We have been talking about home robots coming for a long time, and all we have so far is the vacuum cleaner," said Jeff Bernstein, president of the Association for Advancing Automation. Quote, "You see demos, but taking it from a demo to something that actually works, then something you can afford, that's the issue right now. Chore robots could take many forms. It could be a humanoid like Rosie. It might look more like a pet. No one like Spot. No one really knows what might catch on, but we talked to some leaders in the space to find what hurdles need to be solved before complex household robots could actually happen. One innovation we won't be seeing soon, over-the-air charging. Right now, robots are doing well in factories where there's plenty of space, no small kids around, and employees wearing protective gear. They're really good at completing a single repetitive task like screwing on a wheel. But imagine introducing machinery with legs and lifting capabilities into your home where things can and do go wrong. What if it fails? What if it falls on someone or a software update causes it to go haywire? It's funny on the Jetsons, but it wouldn't be so comical if your grandmother were on the receiving end. I think the grandmother thing is interesting because it's the universal threat. With COVID, it's like, oh, you don't want to kill your grandma. Empty seats at the Thanksgiving table. Grandma won't make it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a significant challenge. The biggest problem is safety, according to Mark Ray-Baer, former CEO and now chairman of Boston Dynamics, a robotics pioneer responsible for agile, animal-like robots. The more complicated the robot, this is a quote, the more safety concerns. If you have a robot in close proximity to a person and anything goes wrong, that's a risk to that person. No kidding. Ray-Baer said. Things have gone wrong, at least on the job. In 2015, a 22-year-old man was killed while helping to set up a stationary robot at a Volkswagen plant in Germany. The robot pushed him against a metal plate and crushed him. In another case that year, a robot's arm malfunctioned, hit and crushed a woman's head in a Michigan auto plant. It's not that the safety issues at home can't be solved, it's that they haven't been solved yet. Robotics companies say, and making elaborate machines more household friendly will almost certainly up the price. Today's mobile robots for factories can cost twice as much as the average new car. Taking the robotics dog Spot, for example, it runs for about $75,000 without the arm attachment that makes it useful for transporting things. Without the arm, it's basically a mobile surveillance machine. A humanoid robotic butler capable of autonomously completing a variety of tasks today could easily cost 10 times that much. And robotics experts say people on the market for such things the experts say people on the market for such a thing wouldn't be willing to pay more than a few $1,000s. Anything higher than that, it might be cheaper to pay a human to do the job, and humans just might do it better. Yeah, but humans won't steal your leftovers. In 2020, Walmart pulled its inventory robots from the floor after repeatedly finding that humans can scan products more simply and more efficiently than bulky 6-foot-tall machines. Yada, yada, yada. The article goes on and on. But I thought this was an interesting conversation happening over on Washington Post. First of all, they gave a shout out to the OG Flippy. Miso Robotics is Flippy, which was nice to hear. You know, he doesn't get all the credit he deserves, which is part of the reason for our segment. But, you know, I think I thought it was interesting because they're being a little bit more skeptical than I think is the reality. Now, when you talk about, you know, they make the reference to Rosie, the robot from the Jetsons. And yes, I think we're definitely a ways off from like a full autonomous, personality driven robot that can basically has its own consciousness like Rosie the robot. But I think it's kind of an unfair comparison because nobody really wants a full companion robot doing their chores anyways, because then the personhood of the robot gets in the way. But setting that as the goalpost for quote unquote robotic butler is sort of a straw man argument, I believe. So yeah, let me scroll through here. There's one other point that I wanted to make. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the goalposts keep moving here. And in terms of basic tasks, robots are already doing a whole lot in replacing jobs and stuff like that. But this idea that you're going to have this, other member of the family type of situation with robots. Right. Sure, maybe we're a little ways off of that, but robotics are already very much involved in, even as basic as like a robot vacuum, is already assisting in the home as a sort of butler-esque type of role. So, yeah, I mean, to say, oh, we're 8 to 10 years out, yeah, maybe, but 8 to 10 years isn't that long for one. Before you have a sort of Jetsons style or whatever. But also, what are going to be the progressions to that point? Are we
let's get the butler. See, that's the thing. I mean, the goalpost of a full butler robot is pretty extreme and probably is 8 to 10 years out. But the other thing that I thought was interesting was that people would only be willing to pay a few $1,000s for it. I don't think that's true. I mean, maybe to get into like every middle class household, they would need to be, extremely low price. A couple $1,000s for a robot is pretty cheap. But the idea for this robot butler thing has always been not to own the machine. It's more of a lease situation. I mean, you look at all the robot butler movies, especially iRobot. I believe the way it worked in that movie was you lease the robot because they're coming out with new robots. It's like a subscription plan. Mm-hmm. And if the, World Economic Forum has anything to do with it, by 2030, we're not going to own anything anyways. You're going to pay for your robot butler service.
Right.
Now, one big problem they talk about later on in the article is that it's a big, there's a quote here from the iRobot guy. He says, the reason why iRobot doesn't sell a robot with an arm is because we don't know where anything is, said Colin Engel, chairman of the founder of Robot. Quote, we're trying to get a better idea of what you actually want to do, what that's useful for your cleaning robot, but it's imperative for whatever next robot you're interested in buying, and talks about how, if you want the robot to do something in the kitchen, how will the robot know where the kitchen is? How does it know what a refrigerator is? Yeah. Which is sort of like an insulting thing. Like, we know already that, image recognition software is being used all over the place, not just facial recognition, but, you fill out even with the CAPTCHA. That's what you're doing with those CAPTCHAs when you log into an account of something and it says, click all the stoplights. You're actually training an AI what a stoplight looks like. And that data gets put into all sorts of AI uses. So to try to get the public to assume that a robot wouldn't know what a refrigerator looks like, again, it's just insulting to those of us who are actually tracking the real uses for these bots and are training in anti-bot martial arts.
Yeah, and I've noticed that there have been quite a few people who message us with stories that can potentially be for a Flippy update. And I would say 9 out of 10 times we've already covered that robot or that machine. Yeah. And for some reason in the last, I mentioned it about maybe a week or two ago, but it's been continuing on here. The big robot arm story is the one we reported back in September of last year, which is the robot tattoo artist, 5G, across however, I can't remember how far, but some lady getting a tattoo on her arm from a machine, a robot arm that was controlled by someone via 5G, miles away. And they just keep bringing that story up over and over and over again.
They love that story.
And I'm wondering why that is. I don't know why. Is it just so breakthrough? Are they just trying to push?
Well, because it's 5G.
That's the only reason.
We got to give more people reason to buy into 5G. Notice how not a lot of 5G talk recently?
Yeah, not a lot recently.
Yeah, because there's not much else to say. It is what it is. But now, you got to get all those tattoo-loving millennials on board with the 5G. So let them know that they can get a tattoo without even speaking to another person. Combine that with COVID rules. If you want to get a tattoo, you got to have a robot do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, just throwing that out there too, because it is weird. We do scour the internet for, these types of stories, or all the stories we report on. And so, we've been doing it for a while now and very consistently. So when there's things that repeat, we notice. We notice it a lot. So anyway, yeah, and I thought this was interesting because for once they're like, oh, it's going to be a while before something happens. Because usually it's like, we're here. We've the robot revolution is now. It's all very positive. But
yeah, it is kind of a buzzkill. WAPO was trying to, they're throwing a wet blanket on the robot fun.
That could also be a giant misdirection too. You're going to have the I don't know, Bezos bot or something that they're working on. Have Jeff Bezos wash your dishes, and then he'll just laugh.
If my robot butler took the form, that's an excellent marketing plan. Make the robot, the butler robot that you can boss around and have it clean your toilets, make it look exactly like Jeff Bezos. That's the premium feature, have a billionaire wash your dishes.
Yeah, you're also going to have a lot of...
I would get on a payment plan for.
Well, payment plan plus, some kind of, a payment plan that covers breaking and failing, because I'm sure people are going to light him on fire and throw him down the stairs. And
you need to get the padded package,
the warranty,
so you can punch it without breaking your knuckles.
Yeah.
It might void the warranty. But all right. Well, what do you got? Should we get serious here?
Serious, sir, I guess. Not that robots aren't serious, but we are experiencing a major false flag.
State-sponsored propaganda machinery.
And this is the New York Times. Suspect charged with 10 counts of murder in Boulder, Colorado shooting. And this, of course, happened on Colorado. I said it like that because in the headline it's actually Colo dot. They didn't actually write out Colorado, but it did happen on 322. So just something to keep in mind there.
322, for those who don't know, is another one of those magic numbers. It's the date of the Georgia Guidestones being discovered or put up or whatever. Also the secret number of the Skull and Bones Society over at Yale.
Yep. And actually, we did poor math in the last episode because we said it was a 40-year anniversary of the Georgia Guidestones. It's actually 41. I forgot that we're in 2021.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Well, 2020 didn't count, so.
True. Very true.
Well, that's even weirder, man, because if 2020 was the 40th anniversary, the Georgia Guidestones, a big part of that is depopulation.
Yeah.
And March of 2020 was when lockdown started.
Yep.
I mean, that's when the pandemic really got in full swing.
I think you figured it out. All right. It says here the suspect was convicted in 2018 of misdemeanor assault against another student at his high school, and fellow students recall him as having a fierce temper. Wait, what happened to the story? Did it go away?
I have it up here. You got it?
Suspect in hand. Investigators hunt for a motive in Boulder shooting. Investigators on Tuesday, man, I'm having issues. Tuesday, were trying to determine what motivated a 21-year-old man charged in the shooting at a Boulder, Colorado grocery store to take the lives of 10 people in the second mass shooting in the United States in less than a week. Oh, a second one. Interesting. We have a story from CNN later on that says 7 mass shootings in 7 days.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, they very specifically said it was the second mass shooting in less than a week. And that will conflict with some later news.
Yeah, New York Times didn't get the memo, apparently, the propaganda memo.
Yeah, interesting.
The gunman was armed with both a military-style semi-automatic rifle and a pistol when he walked into the King Soopers store on Monday and opened fire, officials said. They identified the suspect, who was arrested at the scene, as Ahmad Al-Aliwi Alisa, a white supremacist, no, it doesn't say that, who lived in Arvada, a nearby suburb. He was charged on Tuesday with 10 counts of first-degree murder, which in Colorado carries a penalty of life imprisonment without parole. A police affidavit made public on Tuesday said that last week he bought a Ruger AR-556 semi-automatic pistol, essentially a shortened version of an AR-15 style rifle, I remember that used to trigger you, Basil. Trigger, get it? The AR-15 style rifle. They always say that in these mainstream articles.
Yeah, I actually had to look up AR pistol because in another story, it was reported as an AR pistol. And I never heard about this, but I did look it up. And it's interesting because basically it's just a short version of an AR-15 rifle. But it's interesting because it's a product of tighter gun laws. Because of the rules of categorizing firearms because of stricter gun laws in certain places, they had to make this pistol version of AR-15 to get it recategorized. And so the very existence of this weapon is a response to tighter gun laws.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a pistol really either.
No, it's just like a short rifle.
Yeah. Let me get back to the story here. And it says so it's essentially a shortened version of an AR-15 style rifle, which fires the same caliber, high velocity ammunition first developed for battlefield use, which is kind of interesting since all guns.
What ammunition was not designed for battlefield use? Also, just a little. It is the AR-556. Okay. Because, these AR pistols, they come in all sorts of calibers.
Yeah.
You can get a 9mm one. So, but they did say it was an AR-556, which is very specific.
Yes.
Okay. Keep going.
Okay. Statements from the police and the charging documents did not make fully clear what models of weapons he used in the attack and whether the Ruger was one of them. Okay. Well, all right.
I know they spend a whole paragraph talking about this AR-15 style pistol, and then they say, "Oh, we don't actually know if he used it."
Well, they said he bought it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess they're just assuming, but
they're just mentioning that he bought a gun. They don't know if he used that gun in the shooting. But okay, seems like an easy piece of information that they could share with us.
Yeah, and this is the big point here. The suspect's identity was previously known to the FBI because he was linked to another individual under investigation by the Bureau, according to law enforcement officials. Like clockwork, Basil, every single time this happens, and every single time we have an event like this where the mainstream media and social media pick up on the story, almost without fail, the FBI had a profile on the guy or knew about the guy beforehand.
Right.
And I guess you can say, well, the FBI previously knows about all of you because, they're part of
sure. They might have a file on everybody, but still,
it's just without fail. I don't know.
Yeah, they love mentioning it.
Yeah.
I do want to issue a correction. Thank you, Isaiah42 in the Twitch chat. I said all ammo was designed for battlefield use. That is incorrect.
Oh,
birdshot was not intended for battlefield use.
Oh, that depends on what kind of birds were being shot.
The battle against the birds. The Great Bird Wars.
The Great Bird Wars. You hadn't heard about this? They were coming down, ripping people's hearts out with their talons.
Yeah. No, you're right. Okay, correction corrected.
Okay. When he was a senior at Arvada West High School, Mr. Elisa was convicted in 2018 of misdemeanor assault against another student in a classroom and told the police at the time it was in retaliation for insults and ethnic taunts. Few students recall him as having a fierce temper that would flare in response to setbacks or slights. Mr. Elisa's brother described him to the Daily Beast as mentally ill, paranoid, and antisocial. Another thing that seems to happen a lot with these types of shooter things, mentally ill.
Well, and again, this won't come as a surprise, but of course, this is directly being attributed to, or the response to this is being directly targeted at gun control and gun law reform, and the discussion on the pro Second Amendment side is usually revolved around, don't ban the gun from the mentally ill. And it says right here, Mr. Alyssa's brother described him as mentally ill, paranoid, and antisocial. So, he's the perfect, example of someone who probably shouldn't have had a gun.
Yeah. Among the victims of the massacre on Monday was Officer Eric Talley, 51, with the Boulder Police Department, who had responded to a barrage of 9/11 calls about the shooting. Chief Maris Harold said the authorities identified the 9 additional victims as Denny Stong, 20, so young, Nevin Stanisik, 23, Ricky Olds, 25, Trelona Bartkowiak, 49, Suzanne Fountain, 59, Terry Leaker, 51, Kevin Mahoney, 61, Lynn Murray, 62, and Jody Waters, 65. Chief Harold said at a news conference that police officers had run into the King Soopers grocery store within minutes of the shooting and had shot at the suspect. No other officers were injured during the response, she said. She said Mr. Alyssa was taken to a hospital for treatment of a leg injury. Court records show he was born in Syria in 1999, as did a Facebook page that appeared to belong to the suspect, giving his name as Ahmad al-Isa. The page was taken down within an hour of his name being released by the authorities. Michael Doherty, the Boulder County District Attorney, said the suspect had, quote, lived most of his life in the United States. When was the whole Syrian conflict? What year was that? Do you know when that was?
Oh, which one? I'm not really sure if there was. I'm not sure if there was one during 1999. Maybe there was.
Well, not 99 necessarily, but was it the early 2000s?
Or shortly after?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, there's been a few of them, so it's not easy to nail down exactly.
Which
one.
Syria has basically been in constant conflict for at least a decade.
Right.
I mean, they've been the Civil War issue and the gas bombs and things.
Mm-hmm. Continuing on here, Mr. Alyssa was a wrestler in high school, and the Facebook page listed wrestling and kickboxing as being among his interests, and many of the posts were about martial arts. One, in 2019, said simply, #need a girlfriend.
Ugh.
Yeah.
This is kind of a jab here, but interesting because you got to remember this is the New York Times, and what they're doing is, they're setting the stage for what the conversation is going to be about. That was just such a weird moment. They spend a paragraph again talking about how he loves martial arts and posts about martial arts a lot, and then just pick out a random post from 2019 that says #need a girlfriend. And I was like, why in the world would they do this? Then it occurred to me, they're painting him as an incel.
Mm-hmm.
He's an incel type. And what's the other connection with incel types is QAnon.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The shooting came just 6 days after another gunman's deadly shooting spree at massage parlors in the Atlanta area. Quote, flags had barely been raised back to full mast after the tragic shooting in Atlanta that claimed 8 lives, and now a tragedy here close to home at a grocery store that could be any of our neighborhood grocery stores, Colorado's Governor Jared Polis said at the news conference. Chief Harold said the coroner's office had identified all of the victims and notified their families before 4 a.m. Tuesday. A video streamed live from outside the grocery store on Monday had appeared to show a suspect handcuffed, shirtless, with his right leg appearing to be covered in blood, being taken from the building by officers. Employees and shoppers inside the grocery store described a harrowing scene. Quote, I thought I was going to die, said Alex Arellano, 35, who was working in the store's meat department when he heard a series of gunshots and saw people running towards the exit. The authorities in Boulder, Colorado on Tuesday identified the 10 victims of the King Soopers grocery store shooting. Oh, why is it doing it again? That's weird. It mentions all the names and their age again. And then it talks about the victims.
SEO purposes, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. And it goes through all the victims here, and, we don't have to go through that. But, it's interesting because the first reaction to this was, especially, politically, was that, another race, hate crime. But when
did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't see anything about the hate crime.
I saw some of the people on Twitter, like the checkmark people saying, "Oh, another hate crime," and blah blah blah. But as soon as the details came out,
as soon as his name Aliwi Alyssa came out, they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, maybe not." Yeah, I definitely saw a lot of people calling him white. They were specifically saying, another white man with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, why? I didn't even really look into it. I'm like, he's got lighter skin, but he was born in Syria, and his name is Aliwi Alyssa.
Yeah, and
not sure if that counts.
And the gun reform now stuff just immediately started trending, which no surprise.
And that's where it goes. Yep. When the shooter is not a white man, if the shooter's a white man, it's a hate crime, and we have to stop the hate. If the shooter's not a white man, it's about guns, and we got to get rid of guns.
Yep. And that's nothing new to those of you out there, and for us who have been looking at these types of events for a long time. And it's interesting because it kind of died down with election year and COVID and all that. I mean, it was all about obviously COVID and the civil, not the civil rights, but the Black Lives Matter marches and all that kind of stuff. Which there was plenty of violence there too. A lot of people getting shot at those types of gatherings. But
sure,
now that's died down, we need another boogeyman to keep the boogeyman going.
Yeah, well, and of course, gun control has been one of the main targets of the Biden-Harris rhetoric since the beginning.
Speaking of which,
they link to I believe it's a Daily Beast article. Let me see here. Yes, the Daily Beast. And it goes into his profile a little bit more. I got some things highlighted here if you want just a little bit of a deeper profile on this guy. So let's see here. Aliwi Alyssa, the suspect's 34-year-old brother.
He does not look 21 or whatever, though, by the way.
Yeah, I know. He's got a big bald spot, and maybe that's part of his problem. Let me just start from the beginning here. Authorities, hey, if you're 21 and that's a traumatizing thing for a 21-year-old dude to be losing his hair that bad.
Sure.
Authorities on Tuesday identified the suspect in the shooting deaths of 10 people at a King Soopers grocery store in Boulder as 21-year-old Ahmad Aliwi Alyssa, whose brother said he was deeply disturbed. Alyssa, who is from Arvada, had been charged with 10 counts of first degree. His brother said his brother was very antisocial and paranoid, adding that in high school he would describe being chased. Someone is behind him. Someone is looking for him. Quote, when he was having lunch with my sister in a restaurant, he said, quote, people are in the parking lot. They are looking for me. She went out and there was no one. We didn't know what was going on in his head, Alyssa said, admitting that he believes his brother is mentally ill. Then further on down here,
that seems pretty much. I mean, I guess slightly. I mean,
that's really mentally ill. That's also reminiscent. If this was a movie, if this was a Hollywood movie, this would definitely be a MK Ultra type of situation. Mm-hmm. I'm not making that claim. I'm just saying it sounds as if there was a screenplay. He would have been in some experiments and been on some meds, probably was on lithium, perfect target. On a now deleted Facebook page, Alyssa described himself as a student interested in computer engineering and computer science. You didn't hear about that in the New York Times. And kickboxing. Posts about mixed martial arts, especially jiu-jitsu, dominated the page. Alyssa sometimes posted about Islam, often about prayer and holidays. Again, not mentioned in the New York Times. In one post, however, he appeared to express fears that someone was targeting his phone for Islamophobic reasons. So we tie it back to the racism, which, hey, maybe he did it, but he was paranoid and mentally ill because of the white hog racism. Quote, yeah, if these racist Islamophobic people would stop hacking my phone and let me have a normal life, I probably could. He posted on July 2019. On Facebook, his politics appeared mixed throughout several camps. He shared an article rebuking Donald Trump's stance on immigration. Not former President Donald Trump, by the way, Donald Trump's stance on immigration, but also posted about his own opposition to gay marriage and abortion. Notice how they have to call that mixed. His politics are mixed because they can't call him a Republican or a Democrat. He can't just be a person who has his own opinions about different things. You know, it's got to be a mixed politics.
And by the way, this idea that his phone is hacked and being tracked sounds like that could be the FBI there trying to,
I mean, of course, he was on an FBI list, and I don't know if the FBI is Islamophobic or not, but
it doesn't even matter. I don't think that particular point matters. I know publicly those are the narratives that are constantly weaved: the race, the religion, all this kind of stuff, and that's also not just for like liberals or the normies. That happens to the conservative side as well. I mean, a lot of times the conservative right, they're just as guilty of like, oh, Islam, oh, it's very prevalent on all sides. So just keeping that in mind. And when you look at it that way as just simply a tool to instigate, then it doesn't really matter what it is. They're going to use it. So,
so interesting how they focus on the politics for a couple reasons. Let me read on something here. But it says authorities have not released a motive behind the grisly murders. And then I'll ellipses some things there. According to the suspect's brother, the motivation may not have been a political one. What, a guy born in the Middle East comes over here, commits a heinous murder like this. What would be the assumption? Terrorism. That would be the sort of the narrative, the automatic narrative, thanks to all the early 2000s, narrative crafting. But his brother specifically coming out and saying, no, it's not politics, because if he did it for political reasons, that would make him a terrorist. And then a quote continues here. It was not at all a political statement. It's mental illness, the brother told the Daily Beast. The guy used to get bullied a lot in high school. He was like an outgoing kid, but after he went to high school and got bullied a lot, he started becoming antisocial, which is believable. So yeah, there you go. And then they kind of go into him when he got in trouble for punching somebody out in high school, stuff like that. So a little bit deeper of a characterization of this guy that the New York Times just happened to leave out. But definitely a very complicated situation, especially when the country is in full-blown hate crime mode. Well, this can't be a hate crime because, that is not white.
Yeah. And
so I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, notice how they came out with the motive of the spa shooter. They came out with the motive the day it happened. The day it happened, calling it a motive, of a hate crime. And then he tried to clarify as his sexual temptations or whatever. But yeah, for some reason, here we are a few days later, still refusing to even mention some sort of motive. Why? Because the motive doesn't matter. The motive doesn't matter. It's about the guns. Yeah. It doesn't matter why he did it. That would just confuse, that would just complicate the narrative.
Yeah, the motive only supplies the anti-gun narrative when it does for the mainstream media. If it doesn't, then they'll just leave it out.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard any calls from Harris about doing something about the mental illness problem. I mean, the kid is already antisocial, been locked up because of COVID lockdowns for a year. That didn't help anything. Who knows if he's, on his meds or off his meds, or either way could be trouble.
I think we're going to see both controlled and perhaps just a natural response to being stowed away for a year, like a lot of these young people.
Yeah.
We're going to see some craziness. I mean, did you see that footage of that guy put with the Joker? He had Joker makeup on.
Yeah.
And he was waving American flag.
Reenacting the Joker.
Yeah. And he's saying COVID is over and letting it rain with some money. And I mean, that just craziness. And there was already like a murder of a woman, I think, in Florida during the spring break period here. So, and I don't know if it was intentional. I actually don't think it was intentional. I think it was like an overdose and a rape and we're not going to report it here, but
yeah, they're trying to build this narrative of like, oh, COVID's lockdowns are over. So it's turning into full purge. We need to lock down again.
Yeah. Chaos will ensue the streets. Better to stay inside and cover your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the response from Biden here, Mr. Hairy Legs.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
As Politico.com, Biden calls for federal assault weapons ban after Boulder shooting. That's not surprising at all.
Surprise.
Yeah, it says here, President Joe Biden on Tuesday called for a federal assault weapons ban and strengthened background checks for firearms sales in the aftermath of a deadly marketplace shooting in Boulder, Colorado, hoisting the contentious issue of gun reform among the White House's top legislative priorities. Remarks delivered from the state dining room of the executive mansion, Biden demanded that the Senate quickly take action on two bills passed by the House earlier this month by the House, which would expand background checks and close the so-called Charleston loophole for gun sales. But Biden went further, arguing for a sweeping moratorium on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, a ban akin one he helped negotiate as chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee more than 2.5 decades ago. That 10-year moratorium expired in 2004. Quote, while we're still waiting for more information about the suspected Boulder gunman, Biden said, quote, I don't need to wait another minute, let alone an hour, to take common sense steps that will save lives in the future and to urge my colleagues in the House and the Senate to act. We can ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazine in this country once again, he said. I got that done when I was a senator. It passed. It was the law for the longest time, and it brought down these mass killings. We should do it again. Did it? I don't know. I don't know the statistics on that, but...
Gons, how did we miss this? The King Soopers, the grocery store that the shooting took place in, what was number 33.
Ooh.
It was King Soopers number 33
really?
In the chain. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, that gives it away.
Yeah, I mean, that says enough right there.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Wow.
All right.
Okay. Add that to the list of not surprising things that are taking place with this
I'm trying to make sure to get a reliable source on this, but you search it, it shows up in multiple articles.
Yeah, again, this article just basically goes into the last week's situation with the massage. But by the way, the massage thing, the thing that nobody talks about is how those massage parlors oftentimes, well, not nobody, but there's not many people, especially mainstream media, talking about a lot of those massage parlors being facilitators of human trafficking. Let's just ignore that part of the conversation and worry about the guns.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. It connects it to like the Pizzagate shooting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like that's the elephant in the room when it comes to that conversation. But let's just let's just not talk about it. Put it in people's faces.
Yeah, you Local 7, UFCW Local 7. Local 7 is closely monitoring unfolding events at King Super number 33 in Boulder, Colorado. Yeah, okay, it seems to be pretty common knowledge that this is number 33.
Okay. Well, yeah. What is there an actual definition of a federal assault weapon?
You know what? I'm so glad you asked because I have it pulled up right here because I was wondering the exact same thing. So there's a couple different places to look at this. Let's see here. Let me pull up a couple so we can compare. Because that is the big question, isn't it? If they ban assault weapons, what exactly is banned? So I'll start with the CNBC article here. Definition of what's actually an assault weapon is a highly contentious issue. Following last week's Florida school shootings, yada, yada, yada. Get me to the definition. This was from 2018.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
AR-15, let's see here. Well, let me start with this. On Wikipedia, it says the term assault weapon is used in the United States to define some types of firearms. The definition varies among regulating jurisdictions, but usually includes semi-automatic firearms with a detachable magazine and a pistol grip, and sometimes other features such as vertical forward grip, which is optional on most platforms, flash suppressor, or barrel shroud. Some firearms are specified by name. At the time that the now defunct federal assault weapons ban passed in 1994, the U.S. Department of Justice said, in general, assault weapons are semi-automatic firearms with a large magazine of ammunition that were designed and configured for rapid fire and combat use. The origin of the term has been attributed to legislators, of course, gun control groups, of course, firearm manufacturers, okay, and the media. It is often used interchangeably, but incorrectly, with the term assault rifle, which may more specifically refer to selective fire military rifles that can fire in automatic burst mode. Well, no surprise that they would interchangeably and incorrectly, find a term so near to the official assault rifle definition. But by this definition, assault weapon, let's go piece by piece here. Semi-automatic firearms. Okay. That's almost all firearms besides like a bolt action hunting rifle.
Yeah.
With detachable magazine. Again, that's most firearms except for like a single load.
A musket.
Yeah, sure. A musket, or I don't know, like a double barrel shotgun or a revolver. A pistol grip. I think that speaks for itself. That would exclude things like hunting rifles or most hunting rifles. Other features such as vertical forward grip, which is not really, I don't think that really comes stock on many weapons. That's just kind of a little extra you can add. Flash suppressor, which is kind of rare. Barrel shroud. Barrel shroud is the one thing that I think is kind of unique to when most normies hear assault weapon and, they think of AR-15, the barrel shroud is that little, it's that larger piece of metal that surrounds the barrel, that scary, military looking part of the barrel that like has holes in it that you can hold on to.
Yeah.
That's the barrel shroud. So basically they're just saying anything that looks scary is assault weapon.
Okay. Anything that looks scary.
Yeah.
A federal assault weapon. And I was checking the article that you're looking at, and it talks about the 1994 law that I guess Biden was a part of, the Public Safety and Recreational Firearms Use Protection Act that went from 1994 to 2004.
Yeah.
Columbine was 1999. The event that really kicked off like the gun conversation. So, I mean,
yeah. And if I remember correctly, I was right. It didn't stop that shooting. I do believe that Columbine, I'm actually not even going to speak into it. I don't really remember. I remember specifically a lot of talk about pistols with Columbine.
I think he was using automatic, or hold on, let me see what guns were used here. Let me just real quick search-a-rooney. And he used let's see, weapons used in mass shooting. Ooh, there's a .gov website that provides us information.
Yeah,
let me take a look at that here. And it only goes to 2013, but let me pull back to 1999. April 20th. That's right. It was Hitler's birthday. 420, bruh. He used a Savage Springfield 67H pump action shotgun, 12 gauge high point 995 carbine, 9 millimeter caliber pipe bomb, Intratec Tech 9 semi-automatic handgun, 9 millimeter caliber, and Stevens.
But it had the carbine, so he had some sort of rifle.
Double-barreled sawed-off shotgun, 12 gauge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right. So it was a mix.
Yeah. He was matrixing that whole situation.
Anyways, so yeah, it seems pretty fluid in this 2018 article that we pulled up before. Yeah, it kind of goes through the whole mix. It doesn't really. It kind of says the same thing. That's like, it's not really an officially defined term. It's defined in a couple different ways from a couple different people. And assault rifle and assault weapon often get incorrectly interchanged. Because if
you kind of think about it, an assault weapon, can't that be anything? Can't my fists be considered assault weapons?
Well, yeah, on its face, the term assault weapon, technically every weapon would be an assault weapon.
Even a federal assault weapon. Somebody in the federal government, using a crowbar or something. All right. Anyway,
sure.
Anyway, yeah. So
especially those crowbars with bump stocks.
Oh yeah,
gotta ban them.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, the whole idea of Biden bringing this up again, just hearkening back to his glory days, I guess. I don't know that it's clear that this is nothing more than a gun confiscation, gun reform now type of situation here, and that battle is going to continue here.
And mainly the main thing being called for by President Biden at this exact moment, you never know until you read the bill, but the thing that's being peddled in the narrative is stricter background checks, which is an interesting point. It's an interesting topic in the gun control debate because it's some crazy high number. It's like 90% of Americans, including, pro-gun people, agree that stricter background checks, wouldn't be a bad idea necessarily. I mean, if this kid was the narrative is, this kid is so mentally ill and he was able to get a gun, then the background checks need to be, updated or whatever, or increased. The danger there is, yes, nobody wants crazy cuckoo birds getting these weapons or any weapons, really. We want them to be getting the help they need. But when you start introducing these types of It's all in the details. The devil's in the details. Because yes, mentally ill people should be more restricted from getting weapons. But who is writing the bill is going to constitute what counts as more mentally ill. If you believe in QAnon, are you mentally ill and not able to get a weapon? If you are a Republican, if you supported Trump, that's where the fear is, and that is that's where the details are stashed away as well.
I'm looking at gun.laws.com.
Sounds official.
Official enough, yeah. And it says here that prohibitions on some individuals' opportunities to obtain a gun license come from the federal level, primarily through the Gun Control Act of 1968 and enforced further by the Brady Handgun Violence Protection Act of 1993. These individuals include convicted felons, fugitives from justice, and those with severe mental defects. Yeah. So there's already a background check method in place, and I guess the severity or the intensity of it varies from state to state.
Yeah, well, it's that severe mental defect that is the confusing language,
right?
Because if somebody is born with some sort of disability, that would be on record, and they wouldn't be allowed to buy a weapon. But if somebody develops psychosis when they're 25, and it isn't on record somewhere, then how do you enforce that? And then it gets into, well, who knows somebody is experiencing psychosis. Well, if they had some sort of police report that would get put on, some sort of file, or if a therapist or something has diagnosed them, that could get put on some sort of file. But then you have HIPAA laws involved. You have, data privacy. It's a very confusing thing, which is why it's not an easy topic in general.
Yeah. Well, it just seems like, again, there's stuff already in place, and the ultimate goal here is to discourage people from owning your own guns.
Well, and it's a social stigma.
Yeah.
You got to create the social stigma where if you know somebody who owns a gun, suddenly you got to keep an eye on them, maybe help police them, maybe, if report them if you don't think they're stable, if they believed in QAnon or supported Trump or something. Again, that's the worry. But yeah, who knows? Again, some crazy number of Americans support, making sure that mentally ill people don't have an easy time getting weapons. But at the same time, that just drives the market underground, drives it more to a black market, which then supports, it just organized
helps,
crime.
Helps
it's not
the
an
criminal
easy
boom. Yeah, the crime
not an
syndicate.
easy thing. Speaking of which, let's move on a little bit. We will continue to sort of tap back into the story. But I got to bring you a very important fact check update from Snopes, Gons.
Oh, yeah. Our favorite fact checker is so reliable.
Yeah, let's see what Snopes has to say. And this is, again, part of the narrative crafting. Let's see what it says. Did NRA celebrate the overturning of weapons ban in Boulder days before mass shooting? Less than 2 weeks before a gunman killed 10 people. Less than 2 weeks, which is, I guess, technically days before, but, 13 days. Less than 2 weeks before a gunman killed 10 people at a Boulder supermarket, a local judge weighed in on the city's gun regulation measures. Claim. In mid-March 2021, before 10 people were fatally shot at a grocery store in Boulder, Colorado, the NRA celebrated a court decision to overturn a ban on, quote, assault weapons in that city. Their rating? What do you think it is?
Well, I'm looking at it, so I already know.
True. On March 22nd, 2021, a 21-year-old man allegedly opened fire at a crowded supermarket in Boulder, Colorado, killing 10 people. As law enforcement agencies and journalists investigated the tragedy, examinations that remained ongoing, as of this report, social media posts claimed the National Rifle Association just days earlier celebrated a court decision to overturn a Boulder-specific ban on the type of firearm that was allegedly used in the killings. Quote, just days ago, the NRA celebrated the underlying claim was true, and the Facebook post captured an authentic March 16th tweet.
An authentic March 16th tweet. It's authentic.
It's an authentic tweet by the NRA. In multiple public statements, the details of which we explain below, in mid-March 2021, the gun rights lobbying group praised a judge's decision to block a ban on such weapons passed by the city of Boulder years earlier in 2018, following the mass shooting at a Parkland, Florida high school that killed 17 people. Let's see. It goes into a much longer article about this, but what is this celebration? It's a tweet. They tweeted.
Yeah, celebration makes it sound like they're all like shooting guns into the ceiling.
Yeah,
of a house.
Yeah, right. What is celebration is an interesting word to use. They're referring to a tweet that says ICYMI. What does that mean?
In case you missed it.
A Colorado judge gave law-abiding gun owners something to celebrate. Okay, there we go. In an NRA-ILA-supported case, he ruled that the city of Boulder ban on commonly owned rifles and 10-round magazines was preempted by state law and struck them down. Okay, so there you go. Celebration.
Yeah, so, of course, the Snopes article here is trying to show that, see, now if the NRA gets their way, all we're going to have are mass shootings. And,
right.
But the other the flip side of the conversation is something to consider as well, in that maybe they allowed, they're like, well, we need to ban guns, and this
we got a file on this one guy.
Yeah, but he's going to use
he's already mentally ill. He just needs a little nudge.
Yeah, we need some legislative help here. So, Judge, why don't you go ahead and release the ban on the guns there, and then we can use them for our own purposes. And so there you go. You get to make the takeaway guns conversation back at the center of the conversation in this country, and more fodder to go after the NRA, which is of course the most hated group. They're just so evil. Which
I believe they went bankrupt or are going bankrupt.
I think that was part of the ploy to move headquarters from New York to Texas or something like that. So
got it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, the NRA, I think most viewers and listeners to this show are a lot more pro NRA than not. I'm a little more neutral, I would say. And I think, oops, hold on real quick. I got a phone call coming in. And organizations like that, there are concerns in that, it could be easily infiltrated. It could easily be used as kind of a psyop situation to get people on board with certain agendas that maybe they don't necessarily agree with, but, the NRA is going with it, so let's do it. Not saying it's always, but just
it's always very complicated. And I will say this: I rarely support an organization for an organization's sake.
Right,
and the NRA is the case. I share many beliefs with the NRA, but as far as the well-being of the NRA itself, I'm pretty neutral on. I'm not necessarily in support of the organization for the organization's sake. I do the very fascinating history of the NRA. Not really a lot. I mean, no time to go into it now, but I mean, if you really look into the history of the NRA, very, very fascinating history of that organization. And, as we've mentioned on this show, the origin of gun control in general is, to speak in my millennial parlance, is racist. I mean, the gun control movement started as a response to Black people being armed and standing up against the government, specifically the Black Panthers. If the government didn't want to take guns away from the Black Panthers, we wouldn't have the gun control that we have today. And so, there is a certain way to explore the history of the NRA as being a sort of anti-racist organization, or at least having part of that in its history. So all that to say, it's everything's more complicated than just taking a side. So yeah, I don't know. Look into it. I do want to give a shout out real quick, Gons. Because as you know, I recently made my way over to No Agenda Social. We mentioned No Agenda Show plenty of times on this show. They have their own social media thing, kind of like we do. CanaryCry.community. Go get involved. So I joined there and I posted about the show, and I want to give a shout out to Amico over on No Agenda Social. Says, hey there, Sir Basil. Pleased to make your acquaintance here. Thanks for mentioning your podcast first. I'd heard of it. You'd heard of us. But I wanted to say I'm streaming it right now and really digging it. It's going on my list. Well, thank you very much, Amico. Shout out to all No Agenda fans.
Yeah, all the producers for the No Agenda Show. I think we got some producers of this show too, cross producers.
Yes, a great crossover. And I have a feeling that if more No Agenda people knew about us, they would enjoy the show as well.
Yep.
Okay, let's keep moving. What do you say?
Although somebody in the chat is saying that we know nothing about guns. So there you go.
Well, that sounds like a cool dude that I want to talk to.
CNN.com. The Colorado attack is the 7th mass shooting in 7 days in the U.S. Real nice.
Wait a second. That goes against what the New York Times said. Who do I believe?
Yeah. New York Times not getting the memo, or CNN not getting the memo. One or the other.
Yeah. CNN writing its own memos.
The mass shooting at a supermarket in Boulder, Colorado on Monday took place less than a week after 8 people were killed in a series of attacks on spas in Atlanta. The 2 incidents are likely to spur discussion about gun control legislation in the United States, where firearm deaths are tragically common. They are also among at least 7 mass shootings in the past week across the United States, including 3 incidents on Saturday alone. And there's a little thing here. CNN defines a mass shooting as a shooting incident which results in 4 or more casualties, dead or wounded, excluding the shooter or shooters. Okay, so
that's kind of the general accepted definition.
Tuesday, March 16th, Atlanta, Georgia. This is the spa shooter. The 8 people, including 6 Asian women. The next day, Wednesday, March 17th, Stockton, California. 5 people who were preparing a vigil in Stockton in California Central Valley were shot in a drive-by shooting. The San Joaquin Sheriff's Department said none had life-threatening injuries. So this is an example of no deaths, just getting shot at. Well, I'm sure people got injured, it looks like. Thursday,
casualty technically includes anybody who's wounded.
Right. Thursday, March 18th, Gresham, Oregon. 4 victims were taken to the hospital after a shooting in the city east of Portland, police said in an initial report. Okay, so it doesn't look like we had any deaths there, but again, people getting shot. Saturday, March 20th, Houston. 5 people were shot after a disturbance inside a club, according to police. 1 was in critical condition after being shot in the neck. The rest were in stable condition, according to CNN affiliate KPRC. Another one on Saturday, Dallas. 8 people were shot by an unknown assailant, 1 of whom died, according to police. The third one on Saturday, Philadelphia. 1 person was killed and another 5 were injured during a shooting at an illegal party. CNN affiliated KYW reported an illegal party.
What illegal party.
Quote, there were at least 150 people in there that fled and believed they had to flee for their lives, Philadelphia Police Commissioner Daniel Outlaw said. And of course, Monday, March 22nd, 10 people at the Boulder, Colorado store there. So, yep, there's your 7 in 7 days.
Yeah, 7 in 7 days. Real quick, just to follow up on this whole thing, you know, it's kind of widely accepted, widely talked about that 2020 didn't have a lot of shootings because of lockdown and, obvious reasons.
No, I don't think that's true. But yeah, I think that's kind of
MSN.com mirroring Newsweek. Despite pandemic lockdowns, mass shootings are 35% higher than 2019 and years not even over. Did you hear about any of these mass shootings in 2020?
I mean, if there was any association with the Black Lives Matter stuff, then I think we did hear a little bit about it, but not really. Mainstream media certainly didn't carry any of those stories.
I mean, up 35% since 2019.
Yeah, but
and this was in November of 2020 that this was reported.
It makes sense too, because remember, because of COVID, they released all the prisoners. They New York was turning into, like a
but we didn't hear about any of it because I don't know why.
I remember specifically, I don't know, maybe it was just my timeline on Twitter or whatever, but people were sharing a lot of footage, video camera of people getting shot in New York and stuff. Like one guy's, fixing his tire on the side of the street and a guy just walks up to him and blows him away. It's stuff like that was happening a lot in New York.
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah, this says mass shootings though, so this is the 4 casualties or more. Because I do remember, some Black Lives Matter stuff. I do know that the Chaz had a couple. Yeah, weird. So, okay, didn't hear a thing about it in 2020, but suddenly we're up 35%. Yeah. All right.
The Seattle Times, 2020 was the deadliest gun violence year in decades. Gun violence killed nearly 20,000 Americans, according to the data from Gun Violence Archive. So there you go. But of course, the narrative being 7 mass shootings in 7 days. CNN, virtue signaling. Yeah,
which is interesting because in 2020 there were. Where's the number? I just had the number 417. No, that was in 2019. So that's, 562 in 2020.
Oh.
So yeah, saying that there's 7 mass shootings in 7 days is not unique. In 2020, there was almost 2 mass shootings a day. That's crazy.
It's insanity. But of course, you can tell the narrative shaping attempt here, and the talking point, 7 and 7. Trying to get that trending and get people talking about it. And ultimately, this has to do with the New World Order.
A new world order. A new world order.
And if you go to The Externalization of the Hierarchy by Alice A. Bailey, copyright 1957 by Lucius Trust, formerly Lucifer Magazine, you can look for the word disarm, and it's in there a few times, 5 times it looks like. And number 9 in the 10 steps towards a new world order. It says here, in preparatory period for the New World Order, there will be a steady and regulated disarmament. It will not be optional. No nation will be permitted to produce and organize any equipment for destructive purposes or to infringe the security of any other nation. One of the first tasks of any future peace conference will be to regulate this matter and gradually see to the disarming of the nations. And people have said, like, oh, she's talking about nukes, and yeah, okay, I understand that part of the conversation. But also, if you're going to have a compliant peoples, as we've seen around the country or around the world with countries that have been disarmed, they are much easier to control.
Practicing compliance.
Yes, much easier to control a population that is not armed. The other mentions here, it kind of repeats itself, but it says the work of healing the wounds of humanity, of rebuilding the shattered civilizations, of instituting disarmament, of recognizing national, material, and psychological needs, and of rescuing and restoring the happiness of the little children of the world, and planning their futures securely will take the best that is in the men and women of goodwill. And they talk about the world's servants here, of people that are going to do the goodwill of the New World Order. Furthermore, disarmament must go forward as an initial move, but in such a manner that the question of unemployment is not unduly aggravated. Interesting. The, quote, turning of the cannon into plowshares must be carried out with judgment, and only wide international planning can take care of this stupendous process. And so it's something that Alice Bailey mentioned a lot, in that the New World Order. I was going to say,
do you want to give a little review of Alice Bailey for those who might be new to the material? Yeah,
so Alice Bailey is an occultist, and she allegedly channeled a spiritual entity named Dejwa Kul to have all her writings, to channel all these writings. And she's not the first, but she was one of the first to mention a New World Order, that the higher ascended masters were sort of giving her the information of how to create this world peace, and it had to do with the coming forth of these ascended masters, the revealing of them once again, and how humanity needs to prepare for their arrival, and they won't come unless we do certain things and we take care of certain things here on Earth. And
it's sort of the spiritualism godmother of the New World Order.
Yeah, and she
ran on all the elite circles and traveled the world and knew all these world leaders, and would practice spiritualism or magic on sort of an international, intergovernmental level.
Yeah, I think you might be describing Helena Blavatsky more than Alice Bailey.
Oh yeah, I am thinking
Blavatsky
of
was kind of the mentor of Alice Bailey, and there's Annie Besant in between to kind of bridge that gap. But yeah, basically all of Alice Bailey's writings, she was inspired heavily by Annie Besant, and before that it was at the turn of the 20th century, it was Helena Blavatsky. The secret
so she's
doctrine.
In the lineage.
She's in the lineage, and the theosophical lineage there. And of course, the Theosophical Society, that the logo with the swastika and the Ouroboros, and there's all kinds of stuff going on with that. So it's all part of this externalization of the hierarchy narrative or plan for the New World Order, which again, it's always kind of interesting to talk about because in the mainstream, the news outlets and media and everybody else would like you to believe that there is no such thing as a New World Order. People that think there is, they're all just crazy conspiracy theorists. But clearly they've been talking about a New World Order for decades, and the earliest versions of it have to do with these spiritual ascended masters and occult knowledge and esoteric knowledge of the mystery schools and all this kind of stuff. So again, it's just nonsense conspiracy theory until it's not, until they show up at your doorstep in giant UFOs or something.
That's right. Speaking of which, I think we should talk about some politics.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood.
Politics.
Your blood.
That's right. Okay, let's talk about some many bloodsuckers. I'll start it off, Gons, with this article from The Atlantic, which actually was a very entertaining thing to read on a infamously liberal outlet here, Democrat supporting outlet. For those who need a reminder, The Atlantic is owned by Steve Jobs' widow, or at least she owns a major share of it here. This is in their politics section, and the headline reads, "Biden isn't talking for a reason."
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
Sounds like a conspiracy theory to me, but let's hear it. Joe Biden is hardly in hiding. Barely a week passes when he doesn't tour a factory or host a meeting in the Oval Office. He gives interviews and takes questions from time to time as he moves through his calendar. What he has yet to do is hold a formal news conference. Donald Trump, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, every president since Calvin Coolidge has given a news conference by a comparable point in his term. Biden's debut comes tomorrow, 65 days into his presidency. So that's tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Thursday.
Yeah, today.
Came out at 7:15 a.m. 65 days into his presidency, when he'll appear in the East Room before a press corps who will ask questions, squeeze in follow-up questions, and, in rising desperation as the spectacle winds down, shout questions unbidden. Yeah, that sounds about right. Pressure for Biden to conduct his first news conference had been mounting for weeks. Reporters were quizzing Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, at her daily briefings. She said, "We'll circle back on that."
Oh, jingle. Hold on. I got it here.
Circle back, but I'll have to circle back.
She was dancing.
Yeah. Opinion writers were chiming in, which led to a lot of speculation about why Biden was so reluctant to meet with the press en masse. The most popular theory is that Biden aides feared that a president who's at times too loquacious for his own good might flub an answer. Quote, "He's not that quick on his feet." This is his own people saying this. Frank Luntz, the longtime pollster, told me, "Parrying questions on live television is a skill that tests even the most disciplined speaker, which Biden is not." Oh. Quote, "Now look, I realize no one ever doubts I mean what I say," he told an audience in 2015.
Now look, that sounds familiar. Look.
Totally.
Look. Pointing at him.
Man. The problem occasionally is I say all that I mean.
Oh, he's too honest.
And that is so key because he is, by his own admission, means every single thing he says. So, when he says he doesn't want his kids to grow up in a racial jungle and, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. He means everything he says.
And when he says children love rubbing his hairy legs in a pool, I mean, all of it.
Right. Sometimes he just can't stop himself. Overlooked is that Biden and his team are also making a strategic bet. Masterminds playing 4D chess over there. Limiting his exposure to the press and, by extension, the public isn't simply a defensive ploy to avoid an embarrassing gaffe. Yes, it is. It's a conscious calculation that people don't need or want to hear from the president on an hour-by-hour basis, that they will be satisfied if he can revive the economy and end the pandemic. After all, Americans just had a president who entered their life and refused to leave, who gripped the megaphone and wouldn't let go.
Okay.
I know. Biden has no wish to resurrect Donald Trump's in-your-face presidency. Okay, look, Donald Trump admittedly likes to talk. He'll do it every time he gets the chance. But it was the media that was putting him in the news in every single story, in every story that had nothing to do with politics or anything. We would be reading an article about robots, and they would have to end the article with, oh, and then the bad orange man said robots, he loves them. He just wants to kiss them all the time. It's like, why are you even bringing Trump into this robot story? It was the media that put Donald Trump in front of us every second of the day because they could make money off of it.
Yeah,
we
the
all
media
know this.
was the bullhorn.
Exactly. When Donald Trump got out of the presidency, the viewership for mainstream news across the board was down like an average of 35%. People just stopped caring about the news. And here's the other part of this is the news knows it. The media knows it. That's why they're demanding that Biden give a press conference, give a news conference. Because they're like, look, nobody watches the news unless we have the president on the news. This guy is killing us for so many reasons.
They need to charge up the bodysuit of Biden, either the clone or
his exoskeleton that allows him to.
Yeah, it needs to be charged for a public appearance of that nature.
Let's continue. Quote, people aren't beating down the door and saying, why isn't he in my living room every day? Why am I not seeing that big face staring at me? He just called Biden big face. And promoting himself in some way, Mark Mellman, a Democratic pollster, told me, quote, people are happy to see Joe Biden when they see him. Okay. But they're happy not to see him every day. Were he advising the White House, Luntz said he'd recommend delaying the news conference even longer.
Oh, my God.
Even longer, perhaps holding one at the 100-day mark.
Oh my!
Quote: press conference will not help him and can only hurt him. He said. Quote,
he is honest about his situation here.
This is hilarious. This has been the most entertaining thing the entire Biden presidency is Democrats realizing what a mistake they've made. And he's just like, no. If we hear words coming out of Biden's mouth, it will only hurt him. Quote, there's nothing to be gained from it. His message is getting out, and it's getting out relatively unedited and uncriticized. Okay. Luntz added that the audience for a presidential news conference these days is shrunken and fractured. Real quick, while I'm doing this, on the side, could you bring up search for Joe Biden GQ cover?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Quote, the problem is you're talking to the choir, not singing to the choir. You're talking to the choir, he said. Quote, no Trump voter will listen to Joe Biden, just as no Biden voter would listen to Donald Trump. Let me know when you have that cover, because this quote is very apropos of that cover. As of last week, Biden had publicly spoken about 116,000 words and spent 12 hours on camera as president. Bill Frischling, the founder of FactBase, a data analytics firm, told me over the same period last year, Trump had spoken nearly 3 times as many words and been on camera nearly 3 times as much. Ooh, 33.
All right, I think I have the montage here.
The montage? Okay, let me see it. What do you mean montage?
Let's see here.
I just want to see the cover.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's got
the cover image. is beautiful. I mean, and this has been an interesting thing that we've seen with Biden. Of course, he said he wants to be everybody's president, and he's beautiful. That first one, if we could zoom in a little bit. Yeah. He says he wants to be everybody's president. We've identified in some of his recent things, he's appealing to July 4th. He's trying to appeal to the patriots, trying to, get the country folk on his side. And if you're just listening to the podcast, I recommend Googling the Biden cover of GQ magazine. It is probably the most American photo, or at least the most American attempt at a photo that I've ever seen in my life. He's sitting on the back of like a farm pickup truck. It looks like, it was formerly loaded with hay. Big red pickup truck. He's got 3 bottles of Budweiser sitting next to him. He's in his blue jeans. He's wearing a bolo tie and a denim shirt, wearing a brown leather blazer, and he's holding a guitar. And he's got
to be photoshopped. He didn't.
It's
sit there
so obviously photoshopped.
There's no way
it's
he did
so
this
crazy. And the title on it is Joe Biden, Swagger in Chief. What? It is complete insanity. Oh, and he's sitting on kind of a Native American type blanket, which for those Native American listeners, is a very sensitive topic for a lot of reasons. Of course, it harkens back to the Trail of Tears and the disease blankets that the government gave out. But also patterns on those Native American blankets are highly protected by the tribes that they came from. And so it'll be very interesting to see if he's on like a protected pattern, because he can get in a lot of trouble. But in the GQ centerfold, of course, they jump through all sorts of hoops to make him just look like the coolest, swaggeriest, most American man that has ever existed. In one of them, he's leaning against I'm not as
pink
good
Chevy.
of a an old pink Chevy, very American muscle car. The license plate says Biden 46. He's wearing like a
golf club over his shirt,
members only jacket with some denim jeans rolled up at the bottom. Some All Stars wearing his what are those, Doc Martens?
Is he wearing Doc Martens? No, those are Converse.
Yeah. Converse, sorry. Anyways, and it goes on and on and on. And I'm almost 100% positive that these are all photoshopped. I can't imagine a world in which these photo shoots actually took place in human meat space. And I will say, not that this is... Sorry, I just noticed the picture in the Oval Office.
Oh yeah,
where he's dressed like such a preppy. I can't even say the word on the air. He's just so dumb looking, and he's holding a Starbucks in his hand, like showing it off.
He's wearing the shorts with the no socks with the leather
with
shoes,
loafers, with the dress shoes, yeah.
And
but the way he's holding that Starbucks is just like, that's gotta be illegal somehow. They're advertising product placement in Starbucks.
Paid money. They're part of the whole thing. They probably
but here's the thing, that we know this is Photoshop then, because I don't think the president is allowed by federal law to endorse products. And this picture is very obviously an advertisement for Starbucks. GQ probably had a deal to get money out of it, but it couldn't be a real picture. I think that would be highly illegal for him to be showing off his Starbucks like that. Anyways, the real conspiracy theorists sent us some emails. Go back to the guitar picture. The cord that he's holding.
Oh, right.
You see that? What chord is he holding on the guitar there?
A minor.
That's right, A minor.
Bring.
And so those crazy conspiracy theorists are making the connection, like A minor, like a minor, like a child. He's holding a child. Yeah. So there you go. I don't know why this was unplanned. I'm sorry I made you do this, but we could not go a show without showing these pictures. Oh yeah, we were reading an article. Okay, real quick, we'll wrap this
about
up.
Why Biden hasn't showed up, and now this the spokesman saying 100 days will be good for him. He's no good in front of a microphone in public in person.
Right, exactly. So it goes here. It talks about Trump spoken nearly 3 times as many words and been on camera nearly 3 times as much, 33. That's no accident, as President Biden is following a pattern he set during the campaign. Citing the pandemic, he largely stuck to his home in Delaware while Trump raced around the country leading marathon rallies. That was hiding Biden in the basement there. Biden's victory seems to have reinforced the belief that what worked in the campaign will work in the West Wing. In this view, spooling out news conferences sparingly carries no penalty, only upside. Joe Biden is not that exciting, right? He's genuine. We love him, but he's not Obama. He's not the orator in chief, one former Biden campaign aide said, who spoke on the condition of anonymity. Told me, quote, he's boring in the best possible way. We need boring. We want boring.
Everybody, I told you that the Biden presidency was everybody go back to sleep.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Go back to sleep. And, part of what we like to do is point out like toxic sort of relationship manipulation type of stuff perpetrated from governments to their people. This is like straight out of the what was that book that like taught men how to get girls? The Game.
I have no clue.
You remember that? There's like a TV show about it and stuff. So it was basically there's like again, I'm trying to think of a word that is okay to say on air, and I can't think of it. It's just like this basically how to manipulate women into paying attention to you.
Oh, is that the one where you make fun of her ear or something like that?
Yeah, negging. Had negging.
Yeah.
In it. Yeah.
Okay. I've seen some of that before.
Pay more attention to her friends and don't pay attention to her, and give her a compliment, but insult her at the same time, and she just can't keep her hands off you. This whole thing where like Biden is creating lack of himself, he's creating scarcity so that people will want to hear what he has to say in the very few times he says something. Is very reminiscent of like this. Oh, please, somebody give me the name of it. Geez, I forget what it's called. I think the guy's name is The Game. Like that's his like cool guy name for getting girls. But anyways, it's very reminiscent of what Biden is doing. He's kind of negging the American people, but then, trying to get the country folk to like him, but then disappearing, creating scarcity. So we chase after him instead of him chasing after us like Trump did, quote unquote.
Yeah, I just as a side note here, we've gone through 7 stories and we have 27 stories scheduled for today, and it's been an hour and a half. Just to let you know, we're taking our sweet time.
I know. I was gonna end this one now.
Okay.
But yeah. Okay. And this next one is so good too. Why don't you do one in between? Because I want to read this QAnon one.
Okay. All right.
Unless you want to do it.
It's all right. It's okay. I'm just here pushing buttons for you.
But that's what I'm saying. It's your turn.
Axios, US, UK, EU, and Canada sanction Chinese officials over Uyghur abuses. They're all coming together now. They're anti-China, apparently. So, yep, the US, UK, European Union, and Canada all announced sanctions on Monday against Chinese officials involved in human rights abuses against Uyghur Muslims. Why it matters? It's a coordinated Western effort to hold Beijing accountable for its sweeping campaign of arbitrary detention, forced labor, and forced sterilization against ethnic minorities in the far west region of Xinjiang, which the U.S. State Department and several legislative bodies have recognized as genocide, except for our president, who came out and said, why would it matter? It's cultural. Who am I to say?
Genocide is just cultural differences.
Who am I to say? Driving the news.
And he means it. He means what he says.
So honest. The sanctions come on the heels of a frosty first high-level U.S.-China meeting in Alaska last week, which saw Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan clash with their Chinese counterparts over human rights and other issues. So, this feels a little bit like just public pandering, like media pandering, like, oh yeah, we're coming together. We're really against some Chinese human rights violations. And what's actually going to be done about it, I don't know. I really don't think there's much that's going to be done about it. So yeah, that's a quick story there. I do want to mention, just harkening back to the whole Biden story that you just reported on about how he's not out in public a lot. Mm-hmm. The one time he is, that walk from the White House to the chopper, the most controversial, what in the heck's going on, green screen, hand over microphone, weirdness with short answers and bumping into all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So even the times he is out in public, not the most fluid situation.
Yeah,
there.
well, it's kind of a backfire type of thing, because the media is so hungry for anything from this guy, and he's not giving it to him. And so I think that's why every tiny little thing gets so blown out of the water.
And it's still weird footage, though.
Whether it's fake or not.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. I mean, this back to the Axios U.S.-China thing here, U.S., U.K., EU, Canada sanctions on Chinese officials. I mean, yeah. All right. Awesome. Thanks for the news. But are they going to actually do something about the people, the Uyghurs in China?
We'll have to see.
No, probably not. So I think this is just PR for these countries that clearly I think more people are learning about it, and they're like, hey, what are you going to do about it, government? So they're like, we'll sanction Chinese officials.
Yeah. It makes me wonder what was the turning point? Like, they should have done this so long ago.
I really do think it's just
happened where they finally decided to do something.
I just think it's public awareness. It's got to be out here in the West.
Sure.
There's no other reason, really. Okay, so you got a little Q story here.
Q the miserable, Q the desperate. What must I do to convince you people? You're right, Q.
This is just very interesting, and I'm just going to blast through it. I don't know if there's too much to say afterwards. Maybe there is, maybe there will be. But we do like to keep an eye on the public reporting of and sort of ideas and narrative about who conspiracy theorists are, how fringy folk are depicted in the media, because that has a big effect on people in your life and how they think about you weirdo, and your weird podcast. This is from Vice.com. Headline: Why QAnon followers are suddenly saying there's no such thing as QAnon. The conspiracy movement QAnon has been around for nearly 4 years, and it's never been more popular. But QAnon influencers and their followers now appear to be disavowing the group, telling anyone who'll listen that there is no QAnon. At first glance, this might seem like members of QAnon are finally coming to their senses and realizing that former President Donald Trump will not return to power any minute to unmask a satanic child sex trafficking ring run by liberal elites. That does sound reasonable, doesn't it, Gons?
We gotta wait. March 20th. That already passed.
March 20th is gone, and Trump is still, as far as I know, not president. But
not to the public, but to those who know.
Okay. But I do want to say there have been plenty of Q people, plenty of Q people who follow our show. And many of the communities that we've been keeping our eye on, a lot of people are like, what the heck? Nothing happened. Okay, well, maybe this was all some sort of psyop. And people are kind of coming to terms with that. And it's it can be traumatic, but I think a lot of people are doing it well. But no, because they continue and say, but the reality is that surface level QAnon disavowal is an effort by high profile influencers to distance the conspiracy theory from the past few months of negative media coverage. It's all a ploy, Gons. The reality is
people are playing 7D chess.
that is kind of what they're saying here. Yeah. But it's also this interesting thing, and we've seen it with cancel culture, which is if you've ever believed anything, you believe it forever. Mm-hmm. If you've ever said something that's not allowed to be said now in 2021, that's what you think forever, and you're canceled and there's no getting out of it. It's this permanent categorizing of people. Oh, you supported Trump? Well, you're a racist forever. Anyways, let's keep going. So that's what they're doing about QAnon, not letting anybody back out. Quote, after January 6th, the QAnon brand was badly tarnished. The anonymous founder, the anonymous founder of the Q Origins Project, which seeks to document how the movement came about, told Vice News. He added that by claiming that QAnon was never really a thing, believers were trying to get rid of their bad reputation. But QAnon members seem to have forgotten that they've been referring to themselves both in the name of in name and ideology as QAnon for years before the label became toxic. Have you heard anybody saying that QAnon doesn't exist?
No.
Yeah, I have not.
Technically, somebody in the chat mentioned it too. There's Q, and then there's Anons.
Well, right,
Q, and that Anon is like just a cultural thing that.
Exactly.
Anyway, no one's really denied it.
Not that I've seen. I've not seen anybody that it's not like they'll say I don't believe in it, but I haven't heard anybody say that it doesn't exist.
Or maybe if they do, it's more of a cryptic thing. It's another one of these riddle type things like, there is no QAnon.
And that's the conspiracy theory that they are about to unravel in this article. The name QAnon has been used since the anonymous leader Q first appeared on message board 4chan. Q was the poster, and the Anons were the anonymous 4chan users who followed the post. Since then, the name has been used to describe not just the person posting the cryptic messages, but also the wider movement, which relies on followers' interpretations of Q's clues, something previously unseen in conspiracy movements. I don't know about that, but okay. Quote, over time, QAnon came to describe the movement as a whole, which is apt because the feedback loop between Q and the Anons is one of the movement's most notable features. The founder of the Q Origins Project tweeted earlier this week. While there has been some reference to QAnon being a name concocted by the media in the past, there's a reason that this week has seen such a huge wave of there is no QAnon comments. The first two episodes of Colin Hoback's documentary Q Into the Storm. Have you seen it yet?
Nope, but we reported on it last episode that it's happening on HBO.
Me neither. Quote, QAnon, fail. Bye-bye, Cullen. You've lost any respectability from the Anons before it even airs. One Twitter user responded when the filmmaker tweeted to promote the show. Another Twitter user replied, quote, even beginners know there is no QAnon. The idea within the QAnon movement that there is no such thing as QAnon originates from a post from Q, who wrote on October 17th of last year, quote, there is Q, there are Anons. There is no QAnon.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that he had actually said that. Interesting.
Neither had I. Q went on to say that now this was October, so this is pretty late in the game.
Yeah, but it's still before the election, right?
Yeah. Q went on to say that QAnon was something made up by the mainstream media to tarnish the movement. Q conveniently ignored the fact that past Q drops had referred specifically to QAnon in posts in 2018 and 2019. But in recent weeks, as Q has stopped posting, it appears that followers have had more time to trawl back through some of Q's older writing and have begun fixating on the October post. Family members of QAnon believers, blah, 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 blah. It goes into General Flynn, who said he sort of played coy about Q, talks about Marjorie Taylor Greene, kind of, sort of, not really.
Linwood.
Said goes into Linwood. Tucker Carlson said he could find no evidence of QAnon on the internet. Followers took this as a tacit support of their cause. So it's kind of this conspiracy theory about the conspiracy theory.
That's
then it goes into this writer is trying to like present evidence saying that like, QAnon has been a thing forever, and people saying that QAnon is not a thing now is sort of a backpedaling nonsense. I don't really know too much about the exact details, but if you see this image here, the evolution of this single book says a lot about QAnon. This is a book that was originally called QAnon and the Battle of Armageddon, and is very scary. The Q is big in flames on a black background. Then the next version of the same book said QAnon and the 1,000 Years of Peace, and it's got sort of a sunset, calm background. And then the next version just said End Times and the 1,000 Years of Peace. And this is supposed to be, evidence that they're trying to slowly phase out any connection with QAnon. And that's kind of how it ends. It doesn't really give a wrap up or go further into it. But I just think it's interesting that the narrative, they're not letting any QAnons out. They're like, people got into Q stuff, and even if they want to get out of Q stuff now, you'll be forever categorized as a QAnon person.
Sure. And the subtitle here for the QAnon, when the Q is mentioned on the cover of this book by Red Pill the World, the subtitle, Destroying the New World Order and Taking the Millennial Kingdom by Force.
Ooh, hardcore.
There was never, Jesus, I guess, takes it by force, but not us. Like, we're not part
it's
of
like a dominionist type of thing.
Totally dominionist theology. But then on the End Times and 1,000 Years of Peace, the same book without the QAnon, finally, the truth about end times is revealed. Like, very tame.
Yeah.
A little bit more subtle in that approach.
Right. Yeah. Which is very interesting. And, we've seen that. I mean, we've kind of tracked and seen that evolution from, some other content creators on the internet where it goes, even from, and the crazy thing is Q was like not known at all in the mainstream until 2020. And so it was really weird to see it suddenly be full on mainstream news stories and then turned around.
Sounds like a psyop to me. They just waited for the right time. They gathered all the chickens in the hen there.
The Bolsheviks. Operation Truth.
And then slash off with their heads.
And, it's interesting. They're not letting anybody out of the category. If you're a certain type of person, it's probably in your permanent record. And when it comes to, gun reform and your background checks, who knows? Maybe it'll show up.
Yeah, we're back to the ban guns conversation.
It happens.
It just keeps going in circles. Couple more quick updates here, just from the realm of politics. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was just going to say, I think we can give ourselves permission to move some stories to next week, too, since we're short on time.
Okay. I think we could fly through the rest of the stuff before the break here. So
okay.
Like to get through it. This first one here, that's a Wall Street Journal article. And the headline, Prince Harry is taking on a new job title, Chief Impact Officer at BetterUp.
Oh, great. Oh, he got a job?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
the Duke of Sussex
his first job
is going to work for the unicorn employee coaching and mental health startup in his latest foray into business.
Yeah, right. So he's just a PR stunt is what he is.
He really cares about the mental health of people, and perfect timing to, the mental health issue with the shooters,
Yeah. For those who don't know, for those who don't know, unicorns is a business term for startups that hit, $1 billion of value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, unicorns are Masonic initiation. It's like an initiation animal.
Yes. That's
of
right.
mythology. Yep. So yeah, good for you, Prince Harry. This one was also interesting. This is another CNN article wrapped and delivered by MSN.com. Evanston, Illinois approves the country's first reparations program for Black residents.
Interesting.
Yeah. So officials in the Chicago suburb of Evanston voted Monday to release the first batch of funds in the program offering reparations to Black residents whose families have felt the effects of decades of discriminatory housing practices, according to the Chicago Tribune in Evanston Now. And it's kind of interesting because the money comes from the direct revenue from 3% tax on legalized cannabis into assistance for home loans. So there's kind of a limit on, or not a limit, but they can't just like free willy-nilly use the money. They have to use it for
home loans.
Yeah, home loans or restorative housing reparations. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how
it's
it
coming
goes.
From marijuana taxes.
Yeah,
Huh, that's interesting.
So yeah, that's interesting, and we'll see how it all plays out. I think there was one person who voted against it on the grounds of the Black community should be allowed to spend the money however they want.
Right.
It wasn't that they're against the reparations. They were against the idea of you have
telling
to use
them
it
how
for
to
housing.
spend the money.
Right. So, we'll see how it works, but it's the rollout of the reparations. I mean, this is kind of what they wanted, so we'll see how things play out. Keeping an eye on Illinois. And speaking of Illinois, there was just a real quick here. There was a story. Oh, where did it go? Oh, here it is. Patch.com. You can eat 17-year cicadas emerging in Illinois.
Oh, yeah. The cicada invasion is coming.
Yeah. When the 17-year cicadas emerge later this spring in Illinois, they could find their way to your dinner table. Yay. What? Eating cicadas. The African-American community can fix their homes and eat their cicadas.
Oh, geez.
Remember Cicada 3301? Oh, yeah. We were all over that.
Old school. And one last story here. This one's mind control.
Mind control intensifies.
Interestingengineering.com. Real-life mind control technologies governments are actually working on. Welcome to the future of augmented brain power. And let's see. Let me just quickly find the spots here that are interesting. World governments investing in mind control technologies. In 2019, a team of researchers under the leadership of the U.S. science and technology development firm Battelle was awarded a contract from the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, to advance its next-gen non-surgical neurotechnology N3 project, which aims at designing and producing bidirectional brain control technology interfaces for soldiers to use in fields of battle. Mm-hmm. Initially, brain-computer interface research focused on helping those with disabilities, but they're they're going to go into further things.
It always starts with people with disabilities and goes to soldiers, and then to us.
Yep. And last week, a blog from the University of Miami revealed that much progress has been made towards this goal, describing how magnetoelectric nanoparticles can move through human bloodstreams. MENPs. MENPs. Permeate the human brain and identify subtle signals from your neurons, subsequently transmitting information to an external computer device in a helmet.
Nanobots.
Yeah,
Is this nanobots?
Basically, I mean, they say nanoparticles, so it's probably, it's just nanoparticles, but they have like the helmet that monitors it and, lights up.
Yeah, that's
things
very
in your brain.
interesting. Basically powdered tiny little magnetic particles that interact with your brain and then can be read. Wow, it's like a digital interface for your brain without having to get a hole drilled in your skull.
Right. Quote, we can only imagine how our everyday life will change with such technology, said Sakrat Kizrov, an engineer at the University of Miami. Right now, we're just scratching the surface. Then it goes into AI-guided robot swarm learns war tactics from video games.
Love it.
Europe and China emphasize brain-computer fusion technology.
Cool.
And on and on and on. This has been known. It says
like a
at
big
the end
list.
here. Yeah. Last paragraph of the story here. We're not living in a neo-feudalistic dystopia where our every thought and impulse is predetermined by the algorithmic encoding the human brains.
Yet.
But the governments, yet. But the governments of the world are building the technology to enhance bi-directional brain control apparatuses in battlefields of the coming decades. And especially since January 2021, those battles are hitting closer and closer to home. So there you go. It's interesting. We talked about the bullets and how much of it was built. Well, I guess you were wrong, but most of it was built for combat purposes. And, that's like the blueprint. Blueprint for advancing technologies is for battle.
First medical, and then for battle.
Got to fight the enemy.
And then for housewives.
Wow, that's terrifying. Oh, that's real scary.
Nanobot equipped housewives.
I'm gonna have another bite of that Philly cheesesteak, and wife's like, "No, you're not."
Philly cheesesteak,
Sorry,
interesting
wife.
pull.
I'm just thinking of something.
I think yesterday was National Philly Cheesesteak Day.
Oh, it was.
I think so.
Well, I'm on top of it. All right, some quick 33 updates here.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
33 being the Illuminati dog whistle. We've seen the number 33 mentioned in all kinds of stories that suggest maybe somebody else is in charge of
some messaging, some public messaging.
Yes, BBC.com. Coronavirus travelers from 33 countries must quarantine. And we talked about the 33 countries, but they list them here, and it's going into effect in like a day, Friday, this Friday, March 26th.
Is this coming to America or going somewhere else?
Going to the UK.
To the UK.
Here. Oh, no, Ireland. Mandatory quarantine for people arriving into the Republic of Ireland from 33 high-risk countries is to begin Friday, March 26th. So anybody coming from... I don't have to read the whole
looked.
thing.
The US is not on it, baby. We can go to Ireland.
Yep, it's true. It's a lot of poorer countries.
A lot of South American countries.
Yeah. But
a lot of African countries. Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. This is racist.
It's super racist. That's the point. But there you go. That's the 33, one of the 33 updates. And then the other 33 updates, there's a theme here. First one. Today.com, Texas country singer Taylor D, 33, dies after car crash. Very sad. D's longtime agent confirmed to Today that the 33-year-old mother of two had died in a crash. Sad to see. Very young, but not to be outdone. The Detroit News, man 33 shot, killed at market in Flint, Michigan. Another 33-year-old shot and killed. And only one person, I guess, in the casualty here, so doesn't count as a mass shooter. But 33 years old. And one more here. This is boxer Lee Noble, dies at age 33 after a long battle with leukemia.
Wow.
It was just weird. I was going through the whole, looking up what 33 updates there might be, and it was just a bunch of 33-year-olds dying for one reason or another.
That's crazy.
Yeah, very strange.
Especially with the store number 33 with the mass shooting.
Yeah, it feels like we're getting drowned by the number 33 with a lot of stories now.
Yeah.
Can't miss it. Can't get away from it. But there you go. That's the 33 updates. We're 2 hours into the show, and we're ready to take a break and thank some people.
That's pretty normal.
I guess.
Normal lately, although we've been doing a lot of long shows lately.
Yeah, we have there's a story that I just love coming up in the next section here. It's got to do with witchcraft in China, and we also have some Waxine updates, so a biblical update. It's a very interesting one, and then being watched and a deep fake thing. So you ready for the break here, Basil?
Yeah, we're ready when you are.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere because like Gons mentioned, we've got some Waxine updates you're going to want to stick around for. and she be practicing some witchcraft over there in China. You're gonna that's a game changer for sure. You're gonna want to see that, and of course some surveillance and deep fake updates. So stick around because after the break we got a lot more good show for you. But before that, we want to talk to you guys about the value for value model and thank some of our producers. That's right, I said producers because once again we are on the value for value model, which is pretty simple. You might have noticed we have no ad reads, no affiliate codes, no brainwashing of any kind, and simply put, we put out the value. We do it 3 times a week. We do the very best we can. And if you get any value out of what we do, you have the opportunity to take responsibility for your own media future and put some value back in, because that's the only way the show works. If the producers stop producing, nothing gets produced. So, just as a reminder to everybody, every corporate sponsorship is a form of censorship. And, Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud, you might have heard of him. Yeah, well, he himself said that advertising is a form of brainwashing and that the common man needs some elite man to tell him how to view the world. And of course, the Hegelian dialectic is strong when it comes to advertising. They, make up a problem and then sell you the product to solve that problem. And here we say no more. And not only are we breaking away from the global theology of advertising, but we are inviting our listeners and giving you an opportunity to step into the future, to break away from the advertising mind control and, take some responsibility and some ownership for making the show happen. And our producers are a huge part of that. So we want to thank some of our producers, and that's a real title too. That's not just some fun, cute gimmick. If you pay to have a piece of media produced, you are a producer. You can put on your LinkedIn, put on your resume. I see it in some people's Twitter bios. Very cool. Go ahead and do it. If anybody questions you, give them our email and we will vouch for you. That's the way it works. And so don't worry, Gons. This is kind of a short producer segment today, which goes along well with our long show here. But I want to let everybody know one great way to become a producer is you can go to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. That's patreon.com/CCNT. We have one new Patreon producer, Gons, and that is Mrs. JC Budgie.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's right, Mrs. J.C. Budgie. It's a fun name. And that's all we got, I think. Let me do a quick refresh just in case somebody slid in at the last moment here. Nope, Mrs. J.C. Budgie. Thank you very much for becoming a producer of the show. And here's the thing, folks. Patreon, we get it. A lot of people don't like Patreon. There's a lot of problems with having Patreon in between you and us. So if you don't like Patreon, that's okay. We support you. That's why we went ahead and created canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support. It's got all sorts of fun stuff. You got some literature there on the value for value model if you want to learn more. You've got some, you can read about the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. There's also ways to become a monthly producer of the show. But if commitment is not your thing, you can also make a one-time producership in any amount. Gons, who do we have coming in on the PayPal?
We have a couple here. Before we do, just real quick, I am Clay Now in the chat said, how come I don't have super chat options? I'm watching on YouTube. I saw a super set. A super chat thing. I'm not super savvy. We don't have super chat, especially on the Face Like the Sun channel, because we are demonetized. Our channel has been demonetized. And I submitted my thing to remonetize the channel. back in July of 2020. And YouTube has told me you are still waiting.
Yeah.
You're going to wait.
Yeah, keep waiting.
Keep waiting. And
YouTube takes a big chunk of that too.
They do. Yeah. I mean, we don't need a super chat thing. Although it would be nice to have, a little chat thing people can just throw in a few bucks here and there. But alas, we don't have that yet. We can maybe figure it out for the future. And just, since there may be some new listeners out there, and you had your little rant about advertisers, I want to play the 10-second clip from the Ben Shapiro show as an example of what it's like to sell your audience out. And this clip is not sped up. I want to be very clear about that. Not sped up clip. Ben Shapiro selling out his audience. 10-second clip. Here we go.
As we'll see, there are some questions to be brought about just how much of a friend to democracy and freedom of the press Joe Biden is. And meanwhile, the media continue to craft that narrative in just 1 second. First, let us talk about the fact that everybody loves waffles.
Everybody loves waffles. Real important stuff about how Joe Biden is selling out the country. But first, everybody loves waffles.
It's just so insulting. I mean, why would you praise a corporate entity and steal the attention and the trust away from your listeners in order to, advertise is the name for it, but it's shilling is what it is. He's shilling for waffles.
Well, I think he's a waffle maker, but sure, waffles too.
And that's the difference between what he does and what we do here. We don't shill for waffles. Instead, we thank real human beings, just like you, dear listener, who have decided that the show is worth taking responsibility and ownership for. And we thank them for that. I see people nitpicking sometimes like, you're just advertising your listeners. Well, fine. I don't get how that's a big burn. I'd much rather advertise our listeners than advertise some corporate entity who is holding me hostage. And that's a big part of the value for value model, too. When you have corporate sponsors, you have to be brand friendly. We couldn't talk about a lot of the things we talk about, or you're taken hostage by, all the corporate interests. And that's just not how we want to do it.
Everybody loves waffles.
We're a shill for our producers.
Everybody loves waffles.
First up, we have to thank producer Shield Labs.
Thank you very much, producer Shield Labs. And I do want to mention, I am Clay now, and YouTube says then I'll have to learn how to give differently. Yeah, just go to canarycryradio.com/support. It's really easy over there. Thank you very much, producer Shield Labs.
And we got a note from Shield Labs, support for today and last Wednesday's quote, episode that never was. That's the day we weren't able to go live because our machines were blowing up. In an alternative timeline, it was the most perfect episode. We can only speculate how amazing it was.
Yeah. Thank you very much, producer Shield Labs. They actually sent this in on right after Monday's show.
Yes. And we appreciate that. Next up, producer Vladimir.
Our KGB handler.
Yes.
Says there's no KGB in town. Ready? Kingdom of God brotherhood and sisterhood and amen and the A-woman. I don't like the old KGB very much. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
We have permission to make fun of or read all of his notes in the Russian accent.
Make fun of? I'm just reading it in the official Russian accent.
Okay. All right. Last but not least, we have a new monthly subscriber, Christopher H.
Thank you very much, producer Christopher H. Coming in, helping to lay down that firm foundation on a monthly basis. We appreciate all of our monthly producers.
Yes, very much so. Again, there's different ways. That's of all of our supporters or producers. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Producers that produce the show with their treasure. You can also help produce the show with your time and talent. We want to thank Jade Bouncerson for doing the timestamps. And Jade Bouncerson, I will be sending you a note. I did the show notes a little bit differently, and I think we're going to have to start figuring out a way to get the timestamps in a little bit sooner so we can actually have it be part of the MP3 file.
It's a whole convo. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be chapters in the MP3 file, so we'll get to that later. But we do appreciate it.
And thank you for the possible helpers that reached out to Jade Bouncerson. We'll be in touch.
Yep, we'll be in touch. And I think they have there's a few people lined up to help out with the timestamps too. So thank you for those people. In contact with Jade Bouncerson. Other ways you can send us your time, your talent. What are we talking about? Oh, your jingles, music, show related. But we don't have any today. The other way is with the pen or pencil.
One art, please.
Your artwork, which we will share on the show. And today we have a good handful, a collection of art. This first one is from producer Allie, one of the youngest producers of the show. And it's a portrait of what was his name? I forget his name now. Oh, that anchor that was
Hannity.
Cotton. Yeah, Hannity. Thank you. Hannity with his Juul vape.
Yeah, Hannity loves to rip fat cotton.
And the note says,
sorry, we're doing art. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Producer Shield Labs mentioned that he sent another thing today, and I was looking for it, and I didn't see it. So anyways, let me get back to what I'm doing here. Yes. Okay. Okay, I see it now. Yes. Oh, this is great. This is Hannity referring to his getting caught ripping fat cotton live on air. Of course, we're not fooled. We know he's just trying to get the cool millennials and Gen Zs and trying to euthanize his image a little bit. And yeah, this is beautiful. He's got such a cool look on his face too.
Yeah.
Like he knows he's got swagger with that Juul hanging out.
Yeah, and the stage whisper, Sean. And then Sean whisking away the vape in an attempt to look innocent, and the narrator coming in, Sean Hannity, brought to you by the vaping industry. Everybody loves Juul. Very good.
Oh, whoops. Didn't see you there. Sorry, I was just ripping some fat cotton.
That would have been
young
better.
And cool like you.
That would have been better, but then it might have not have appealed to the young people hiding it from their parents,
Oh, the whole thing works.
It does.
Yeah, even the fact that he's not supposed to be doing it, but he kind of gets caught and he looks cool. It's very relatable to the kids.
It is. The young people are like, oh, he's cool like I am, hiding the fact that he rips Juul.
Yeah.
The Juul thief.
Now that my dad saw his hero Hannity ripping cotton, maybe he won't be so mad that I do it now.
I'm just like your TV hero, Fox News anchor, Sean Hannity, Dad.
Oh, he's not an anchor. He's his own brand.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you very much. Gazel and Bonds in the chat. Producer Allie just keeps getting better.
Keeps getting better. Next up, producer Mike B coming in with another Rebus. Let's give it a go here.
The Rebus, for those who don't know, if you're just listening, it is the picture math.
Yes.
Right. So this one, we've got a smiley face waving at us, plus what looks to be like some sort of living room thing. Then an or, I guess that means or. Then there's a trumpet minus it equals. What do you think it is, Guns?
Right wing equals right wing, left wing, two birds of the same, two wings of the same bird type of thing there.
Yeah. I got it.
You did get it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
it's
go ahead. I'm not going to get it right now. My brain is too. It's got something to do with Trump and right wing, left wing politics.
Yeah.
And
it's Biden.
Oh, okay.
Biden or trumpet. Nope.
Or
Biden
Trump.
or Trump equals two wings of the same bird.
Same bird.
And that's true.
Yeah, there you go. These are good for your brain. You should have a whole deck full of them.
It hurts my brain. Gotta think
Thank
too
you
hard.
so much, Mike B. And this next one gave you problems, Basil.
I'm not allowed to read this. It's racist if I do it.
This is from Quantum Solace. It is an image of some guys holding up gang signs with speech bubbles and thought bubbles. The first thought bubble It says, dang, I think I'm in the wrong gang again. I don't know any of these fools. I gotta stop doing drugs. And then the speech bubble of, I think this is Gangsta Basil.
Yeah, this is me.
And should I do it in the Mexican accent, or should I? Is that too offensive?
Because it's me. I would talk like this. Jesus died for our hood homes. Repent and be saved, essay. His word is true.
Well, there you go. Very, very white. Good job. And then there's me kneeling, of course, Asians kneel, I think.
Yeah, I got your gang sign up there.
Yep, got my gang sign, and I'm saying, where in the gospel does it say Japanese people can't be cholos, essay?
Yeah.
So there you go. And there's a guy on the right side of the image that has a shirt that says "Pass the Corona," except the Corona is crossed out and it says "Gospel." These are some saved cholos, I guess.
Yeah.
Essays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good. You know what? Saved cholos are they're pretty cool. You work in the church long enough, you meet a lot of these saved cholos. They're cool guys.
I know. They can really help you out in some dire situations.
Okay. Moving on. Oh, you're holding a Bible also.
Yes, I'm holding a Bible.
Yes.
Kind of looks a little photoshopped in there, but it's okay. Good effort. And thank you so much, Quantum Solace. Appreciate the uncomfortable. I like that you create uncomfortableness in Basil. Mm-hmm. It's just very, I'm a protected class POC.
It is true. You are as a POC, you are a protected class.
It's funny.
Speaking
of which, a photo that was snapped by producer Jack. It was a billboard that said Asian American, but the letters I and M were highlighted. This is I am Asian American. Is this like a reference? Is this like an underhanded reference to like I am like Yahweh?
It is interesting. Yeah, I mean, that is, of course, a very important phrase in the Judeo-Christian circles there. But it's interesting because it's a billboard. It's a giant billboard that says, I am Asian American, # stop Asian hate.
Yeah.
Is the billboard Asian American? Does this mean we're all Asian American? I'm not quite sure if I understand.
It's just the home screen of a giant calculator. That's all it is.
Oh my God.
Jack sent us a note. He says, I saw this on a billboard by my workshop and I was at a traffic light, so the picture is a little cut off. I'll try to snag a better pic, but you guys called it.
Mm-hmm. We called it, and it happened fast.
It did happen really fast.
We're like in the second week of the thing, and that's a pretty quick turnover from instigation of a social movement to already having very trendy big billboards up.
Yeah, very much so. And I think in the last episode we highlighted it, but we it was like the CNBC website or something. There was a whole tab called Asian American. It's like a dead giveaway. Like, okay, this is our propaganda angle now.
It is like loaded up. All the PR was loaded up before the event.
Yeah, very convenient. So I wonder if like the webmasters get suspicious of that stuff. Put a giant button that says Asian American.
The problem is, guns. We know nobody listens to the tech guys. Nobody cares what the tech guys.
That is true. I wonder if there's tech guys in mainstream media, like working for them, and they're just like, oh, one of these days.
Guaranteed, they're pawns. They're just doing their job, and I'm sure they all see it. They see it happening because they have the Stop Asian Hate media all loaded up before the big event, big shooting spree, and then suddenly, what a coincidence! We have all this PR already lined up. Okay, sounds good. Let's go.
Yeah.
Don't ask questions.
That shooting thing. There's another layer to it with the Hunter Biden stuff that I haven't really heard anybody connect it to either, which is interesting. As you know, Hunter and his thing
what
with
is
China.
It?
Just
right.
You know, his whole
Biden
hobby.
and Hunter, they're all tied into the China stuff.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you so much for the snap there, producer Jack, and I think that's all for the producerships. Did we have we still need to come up with a little site for the meetups. We can do that soon.
Oh,
I'll have to
dude,
put it
I
together.
don't know. Producer Ciara is in the chat, and she's going to have to let us know. Is she personally traveling to all these meetups? Is she holding all of these? Did you get the image that she sent?
The updated one with all the, I think
the flyer, the new flyer with all the dates.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay,
I think she has one of those traveling UFOs that goes,
Yeah. She's all into the teleportation. So if you're out there, we are just so excited. Thank you to producer Ciara, and thank you to everybody who showed up at the Texas meetup this last weekend. It was so cool seeing pictures of you guys, everybody meeting each other. I'm kind of watching the stream here, Gon's waiting for those dates to go up.
It's up.
Oh, interesting. I have such a big delay. And yeah, producer Ciara is apparently going on a national tour of Canary Cry meetups. So listen up. If you're in the Pacific Northwest on April 24th and 25th, if you are in Florida on May 22nd, if you're in Southern California in June 26th, or Missouri. Yeah, no, you definitely should. Or if you're in Missouri, there will be a meetup, but kind of far out in September, but September 11th in Missouri. Oh, interesting.
That is the 20th year.
Yeah. So, it is the 20th year, huh? Yeah. So if you're out there in the world, if you're in the Pacific Northwest, in Florida, Southern California, or Missouri, get ready to write this down. Send an email to Ciara, Ciara, Lauren, Lauren, 93 at gmail.com. That's Ciara Lauren at gmail.com, and get in touch with producer Ciara and get the deets for all these meetups. But we also want to invite anybody out there can put together a Canary Cry meetup. If you're trying to meet other Canary Cry folk in your area, this is a great way to do it, especially with loosening lockdown restrictions. You can hold a little protest, and it's a great way to meet other listeners just like you. I mean, of course, the internet is great for that, but we really need to start seeing other human beings. What are you laughing about over there?
Oh, I just noticed Captain Titus Frost in the chat saying Gons and Basil hate New England. And
bro, we don't even know where New England is.
Wow, way to really offend.
No, this has been proven on the show. We've done it live on the air where I attempted to define New England, and it's just known, West Coast boys don't know what New England is or where it is. I don't know. Is New York in it? Is Pennsylvania? I don't know.
Do you really not know?
Well, no.
Oh, come on.
You only know because we've gone through this before. Okay, without Googling, which there's an honor system, name all of New England right now.
Boston?
Faster. Boston's a city.
Yeah, but it's part of New England.
Okay, sweet guys. Okay. You don't know anything about New England. You just said Boston.
Yeah.
No. Cons. You silly goose. Anyways.
It's where the Patriots play. Come on.
If somebody asks you where New England is and you say Boston, they're going to laugh at you. And I don't want people to laugh at you, Gons.
Well, by the way, just Captain Titus Frost, you can hold your own meetup over there, and you can make it a cross meetup between the Pirates and the Canarians. It'll be a good time. So call out all Canarians in New England, and you can hate on us for not knowing where it is. There you go. That's just a call out.
I don't think anybody cares. I think they like the exclusivity.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't even know where we are. We're some interdimensional portal, New England. Are we England? No. Are we new? No. Where are we? Nobody knows.
in Massachusetts somewhere.
Yeah. Well, now I know it because I'm looking at the chat.
Oh, okay.
Got Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Delaware. Yeah. See?
Yep.
Okay. Let's get back to the show.
Okay. All right.
Let's wake up.
We are going to wake up here.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Okay.
All right. We got some Wakchine updates. And this first one, I just got to play the video because it's great. CBS News researchers in Mexico have made a nose-only COVID mask, which they say reduces the risk of infection of coronavirus during eating and talking.
Nose only.
Yeah, we're not going to play the audio because it's just, there's no talking in this. It's just this old couple, or maybe I don't even know if they're a couple, but they're sitting there eating, but they take off their masks and they reveal their clown nose masks. It's not real clown nose.
Oh, it's a little mini. It's a little tiny mini mask.
It's a mini mask for the nose.
Wow.
And yep.
We have hit peak ridiculousness.
Yeah, it's something you have to see to believe, really. And
it's like in the world of underpants, you've got like boxers. That's like your full mask.
Uh-huh.
But if you under your boxers, you're wearing something smaller.
Yeah. Like a tongue.
A tongue.
That's what just, you just reminded me of something. My little baby, 4-month-old, he was getting too big for his diaper. And so it was time to like go up to the next size of diapers. And my lovely mother was like, "It's like tongue."
Okay, so I'm not the only one.
No.
That is hilarious. And yeah, no, this is real. People are asking if this is real. It looks like a funny, hilarious parody that would be on, I don't know, YouTube or some sketch comedy show. It looks like an SNL skit.
It does.
What it looked like. But no, this is official CBS News.
Yeah.
Wow.
Your source for original reporting and trusted news.
Beautiful.
Yep. The all-seeing eye telling us exactly what's going on here. All right. So an actual story here. This is Vice.com. Anti-vaxxers are already big mad about Krispy Kreme's free donut offer.
Big mad. Okay.
Big mad. It's a new thing. And the story here says, it was just after 10:30 a.m. on Monday when I rolled up on Krispy Kreme and parked right beside its glowing neon "Hot Now" sign. The staffer behind the register said I was the first person to flash my COVID-19 vaccination card to score a free donut. But the promotion was just a couple of hours old at the time. Quote, "Everyone else will find out," she told me, sliding an original glazed into a Wexed bag. Quote, and they'll keep coming for free donuts until the company tells us to stop. Early yesterday morning, Krispy Kreme announced that it would give one free OG donut to anyone who shows their Vax card inside its stores or at the drive-through window through the end of the year. And
that's a lot of free donuts.
That's a lot of donuts. And this isn't a one-day only deal either. If you've been vaccinated and want to collect 283 free daily donuts between now and the time you throw your 2021 calendar in the trash, then you can do that too. 283 donuts is that's a lot of donuts. Considering the fact that 73% of COVID deaths was from obesity, this is really interesting that they're handing out free donuts. Quote,
yeah, that's a great point.
"We all want to get COVID-19 behind us as fast as possible, and we want to support everyone doing their part to make the country safe by getting vaccinated as soon as the vaccine is available to them," Krispy Kreme Chief Marketing Director Dave Skina said in a statement. "But because we live in history's dumbest era..." Okay, Vice. All right. Okay. "Because we live in history's dumbest era, putting the words COVID-19, safe, and vaccine in the same sentence is enough to cause controversy. The pandemic-related promotion has already been roundly criticized by vocal anti-vaxxers. Twitter users with a half a dozen American flag emojis in their bios. Oh, okay.
I know. It's so insulting isn't even the right word. It's childish.
It's this proto persona that they've outlined here.
Yeah. They got an American flag because only bad people like America.
Yeah. And people who constantly quote the Constitution and George Orwell, despite never reading either one. And
making a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, in parentheses, the Venn diagram showing the overlap of those people looking a lot like what you'd order at Krispy Kreme. Okay, so now they're making fun of the obese here.
Yeah, wow. This is a child. They had a 13-year-old hormonal preteen write this. As
of this writing, there are more than 10,000 comments on Krispy Kreme's Facebook post about the voluntary promotion for customers who voluntarily show their vaccination card in order to voluntarily receive a free donut. How many times did he use the word voluntary? He used it 3 times in one sentence. I'm going to read that sentence again. As of this writing, there are more than 10,000 comments on Krispy Kreme's Facebook post about the voluntary promotion for customers who voluntarily show their vaccination card in order to voluntarily receive a free donut.
That is so weird. What is the point of that?
Where's the editor? What the AI editor is not doing their job or what?
I think they're making a moral case.
Okay.
Because it's like volunteerism, only good people volunteer. So volunteer. I love the ad. Want more Tinder success? Get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated. There are also hundreds of negative responses that promote misinformation about the available vaccines, suggest that Krispy Kreme is discriminating against those who don't want to be vaccinated. They're not. More on that in a sec. Or equate free donuts with biblical prophecies. Here's a representative sample. Okay.
Ooh, okay. Sounds like our kind of people.
Quote, looks like you're part of indoctrination of American citizens. If we're good and follow along, we get presents. Soon we can get all kinds of free stuff if we go along with getting microchipped too. And is that how it's going to work? Question mark. Okay, that's not too crazy.
It's not even, yeah.
Wow, KK, I didn't know you were discriminating against people who feel it's their body, their choice to not get a rushed experimental shot from the government.
Okay, that's like saying good.
That's like saying if you are straight, you get a free donut.
Okay. All right.
Next one, quote, hey, I took my vitamin C and zinc as preventative. Do I get a free donut for doing my part as well? That's actually pretty clever.
Yeah. Well, that's so funny. I took my vitamins. Can I have a free donut? You racist anti-vaxxer. There's such benign comments. I was waiting for something benign. I was waiting to be embarrassed, honestly.
I know. Quote, would you like to get unvaccinated to wear a yellow star on their chest?
Oh, there we go.
Since you've decided to stray into an area that has nothing to do with your actual business, I'd like to know how far you're willing to go. All right, a little triggered there.
And on that note, Gons,
yes,
I would like to mention, thanks to the chat for bringing this to my attention, this is the wikipedia.org for Krispy Kreme. Mm-hmm. Krispy Kreme Donuts Incorporated is an American donut company and coffee house chain owned by Jab Holding Company.
You can't handle the truth.
I don't think I can handle that.
No, it is too good.
That's ridiculous.
People were saying it in the chat, and I'm like, okay, very funny, guys. Okay. And then they kept saying it. I'm like, wait a second. This couldn't possibly. Oh my gosh. This changes everything.
It's been,
Jab Holding Company.
It's been part of the plan for a generation. When young Crispy was coming up with the donut thing, he was told one day you'll be the arbiter of saving humanity with a vaccine against some kind of pandemic.
I would like to know the amount of losses that Krispy Kreme will incur from people forging vaccination certificates and getting free donuts.
I was going to say, it's way too easy to forge this thing and get free donuts.
Yeah, for no other reason than just to get the donuts.
Yeah, and then
to get a free 87-cent donut.
And then put a fake mustache on and go back into the store and get a second one.
No, you just come back the next day.
Yeah.
All right.
A couple more here. What about those of us with natural immunity? I mean, that's kind of a good question. If you have the antibodies already, you already had it. Yeah.
Or people who have antigens or antibodies rather.
And we know this is the real reason why this person was writing the article. Quote, "We are getting close to the end times when there will be no buying or selling unless you have the mark of the beast."
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's true, but also, you must hate donuts. He must be
what if it started with the donuts? This is where the mark actually starts.
It started with donuts. Yeah. God would have a sense of humor if that's really the case,
Yeah, well, we know he does.
Well, we're all going to be eventually, we're going to be up in heaven, raptured, and we'll reminisce about the time and be like, remember when the whole thing started to happen with the donut?
Those little Krispy Kreme OG donuts are so good, though. Oh man, I'm thinking about them now.
They're a little too they're like dipped in frosting, right?
Oh, so good.
A little too much. A little too much.
So good.
A little too much.
We don't have one where I live, but if I did, I would go willingly pay Bitcoin.
You're going Bitcoin?
Yeah.
For Krispy Kreme donuts?
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, let's keep moving. Oh man, I'm hungry now. My tummy's growling.
Oh, look, at the very end here, there haven't been many other big name vaccination perks, at least not yet. Mint Dispensary, an Arizona weed dispensary chain, will give one free edible to anyone who's been vaccinated.
Hey, there we go. You can go on a vaccination tour of free stuff.
Yep.
You go over, get your free edible. Thank you very much. Then head on over to Krispy Kreme. Wow, they're really talk about beast system. They have got this figured out.
An office supply retailer, Staples, has offered to laminate everyone's vaccination cards for free until April 3rd.
Oh, free lamination?
Free lamination.
What a deal! Okay, we have so many things to get through.
Somehow the anti-vaxxers will find a way to get mad about that too. I don't know if they're mad. I think they're just pointing out the absurd.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that's a great way to wrap that up. Yes, mad is not the right word for it. Pointing out how absurd it is really the main
who's
thing.
At the Staples, the head meeting there, in the back room, and they're like, "Oh, we got to jump on this free giveaway. Oh, we can give away some free laminations.
we have nothing to give."
Oh, great idea. We can laminate the actual Vax cards. Oh, brilliant. Oh my gosh.
Because the funny thing is, the idea is, you lure people in with the free stuff.
Yes.
And, once you got people showing up for their
it's
free
a marketing
donut,
thing. You want them to stay.
Donuts.
Yeah, you want them to buy more. Yeah, exactly.
But who's showing up to the lamination store? Like, oh, well, while I'm here already, I might as well get all my other stuff laminated.
Well, Staples,
I was going to go to your competitor lamination store.
Well, Staples is a store that's got to be hurting, right? No one walks into a Staples to buy stuff anymore, right? You can get everything.
Yeah. Everybody is equipping the at-home offices, though. So
that's true. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's about it for that one. Good job. Vice.com, Food by Vice, Munchies.
Is it in their Munchies section?
It's in the Munchies section.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a quick Wackchine update for you here.
Okay.
This is coming from time.com.
Ooh.
And the headline is AstraZeneca may have used outdated information in its vaccine trial, U.S. health officials say.
Uh-oh.
Oh, what a surprise. Some manipulating of the scientific data by a company that has everything to gain from lying about their new product. Okay, results from a U.S. trial of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine may have used, quote, outdated information, U.S. federal health officials said early Tuesday. The Data and Safety Monitoring Board said in a statement that it was concerned that AstraZeneca may have provided an incomplete view of efficacy data. AstraZeneca reported Monday that its COVID-19 vaccine provided strong protection amongst adults of all ages in a long-anticipated U.S. study, a finding that could help rebuild public confidence in the shot around the world and move it a step closer to clearance in the U.S. Notice how they said clearance and not approval.
Yep.
In the study of 30,000 people, the vaccine was 79% effective at preventing symptomatic cases of COVID-19, including in older adults. There were no severe illnesses or hospitalizations among vaccinated volunteers, compared with 5 such cases in participants who received dummy shots. All small number, but consistent with findings from Britain and other countries that the vaccine protects against the worst of the disease. AstraZeneca also said the study independent safety monitors found no serious side effects, including no increased risk of rare blood clots like those identified in Europe, a scare that led numerous countries to briefly suspend vaccinations last week. Did they start them up again? I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, most of them did, I think.
The company aims to file an application with the Food and Drug Administration in the coming weeks. Oh my gosh, get to the point. Oh my gosh. They don't get to the point.
Nope.
And the government's outside advisors will publicly debate the evidence for the agency and make a decision. Authorization and guidelines for use of the vaccine in the United States will be determined by Food and Drug Administration and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention after thorough review of the data by independent advisory committees. No mention of the headline?
Nope.
There's no info whatsoever regarding the headline using outdated information in its vaccine trial.
It must be really bad, right? If they're not giving the info. And then if you look at the NIAID, the National Institute of Health.gov, where Fauci is the director, they came out with a statement. And this is a statement on AstraZeneca vaccine. Late Monday, the Data and Safety Monitoring Board, DSMB, notified NIAID, BARDA, and AstraZeneca that it was concerned by information released by AstraZeneca on initial data from its COVID-19 vaccine clinical trial. The DSMB expressed concern that AstraZeneca may have included outdated information from that trial, which may have provided an incomplete view of the efficacy data. We urge the company to work with the DSMB to review the efficacy data and ensure the most accurate, up-to-date efficacy data data be made public as quickly as possible. Authorization and guidelines for use of the vaccine in the United States will be determined by blah, blah, blah. It's the same exact thing as the last sentence.
That is bizarre.
Time. Yeah.
Time.com, Time Magazine.
Yeah.
Now participating in clickbait.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. This is just a story that leads to nowhere. And
they don't even refer at all to the headline, not even like a little gimme sentence or anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It must be
trustworthy.
It must be negative, because if it was negative from the mainstream media or mainstream perspective, because if it was positive, if it was like, oh, we severely underreported the efficacy, we said 78%, it was actually like 94 or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's probably really bad. So they're like,
it must have been really bad. Too bad that they couldn't even give the facts.
This also could be another sabotage attempt by the Pfizers.
Well, see, I was thinking the other way. I was thinking that this is, we know that Pfizer and AstraZeneca are economically rivals, and we saw Pfizer sabotage AstraZeneca in Europe. And this made me think, yeah, okay, I could see it going your way too. I was thinking AstraZeneca, pay a little fee, so the actual they have to report it. They have to write something about it.
Yeah,
I'm going in some hypothetical situation here.
Sure.
But hey, you pay this little fee. We'll just take out the worst part of it. We'll take out the actual data.
Oh yeah. Oh, maybe they got caught. You mean they were trying to skid by and get out there as soon as possible and
something. I don't know. It's just so weird. That is really one of the most bizarre things I've seen.
Yeah. Well, hopefully time will tell us exactly what went down.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The facts are racist, so they couldn't print them.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is too. Or it's
all
like,
right.
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, enough speculating. But we're in good care, Basil, because according to Reuters.com, new headline here. Oh, where's the headline?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see a Reuters.
I guess this is it. By catching bats, these virus hunters hope to stop the next pandemic.
Ah, the virus hunters.
Yeah. And
yeah, I heard about these guys.
Crazy pictures of men with rubber gloves on, holding or doing a swab on a bat.
Yeah, they're swabbing the bats.
Yeah. Not going to go
these
through
the guys
this kind
in
of
China. They go all around the world, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Researchers wearing headlamps and protective suits race to untangle the claws and wings of bats caught up in a big net after dark in the Philippines province of Laguna. The tiny animals are carefully placed in cloth bags to be taken away, measured and swabbed with a detailed logged and saliva and fecal matter collected for analysis before they are returned into the wild. The researchers call themselves virus hunters, tasked with catching thousands of bats to develop a simulation model they hope will help the world avoid pandemic similar to COVID-19, which has killed nearly 2.8 million people. You know, the lab leak or the whole thing, the virus coming from a lab story.
Mm-hmm.
This was the procedure, was it not? That they catch bats, they test to see if they have something, and then they create some kind of simulation.
Yeah, the
model.
Wuhan Virology Lab, Institute of Virology, rather, they specialize in bat coronaviruses.
Right.
That's
and
like
the US
their
funded
thing.
them in 2015, I believe, right? 2014-15.
Yeah.
The Japanese funded model will be developed over the next 3 years by the University of the Philippines Los Banos, which hopes the bats will help in predicting the dynamics of a coronavirus by analyzing factors such as climate, temperature, and ease of spread to humans included. And it goes on and it kind of glorifies these virus hunters and some pretty interesting looking bats. I mean, they're gnarly looking, sharp teeth, giant ears.
Yeah. No, I'm getting chat is mentioning that once we mentioned the Institute of Virology, our YouTube stream is just looping over and over and over now.
Really?
and is not continuing. Yeah, we're having a major streaming event over on the YouTube. Yeah, we got live cut, live censored. Yeah.
I'm noticing, well, our upload bit rate is fine, so we're okay over here.
Yeah, I refreshed and yep, it's happening again. Yeah, it's just on YouTube. We're fine on Twitch. Twitch is still going. We're going. It's just a live YouTube cut. Yeah.
Wow.
You might want to mention in the chat, tell them to switch over to Twitch or something.
Okay.
I would do it, but I'm on my VR helmet here.
If you're on YouTube and
it's definitely on Face Like the Sun. Let me go look. Canary Cry Radio. Doot, doot, doot. Sorry, folks that who are doing the proper thing and listening on the Twitch channel or the. Yeah, okay. It looks like Canary Cry Radio YouTube is working.
So it's just the Face Like the Sun channel, of course.
Yeah. Why don't you pop the link for the Canary Cry Radio in there?
Let's see.
Okay, good. People are already on it. Yeah.
Canary Cry Radio. Okay, well, at least we know. See, that's the thing. We have two channels, so we can really see if they decide to censor us or not.
Yeah, we'll see if they cut off the Canary Cry Radio channel. We'll know for sure. Yeah, this might be it, folks. I've been telling you to follow the RSS feed. Follow us over on Twitch. Follow us other places. Too many people are relying on one YouTube channel. Or, of course, DLive. Go over there, too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, while people catch up with us, Gons, And make sure to like us again. Like the video again over on the Canary Cry Radio channel when you switch over, please. Did you ever watch Fern Gully as a kid?
No.
Fern Gully. You never watched Fern Gully?
No, I don't know what that is.
Ah, well, this reference isn't as fun anymore. But Fern Gully was I think it was an old DreamWorks picture. I don't think it was Disney, where it's, a guy works for a logging company and they're cutting down the rainforest, and then some fairy dust gets on him or something, and he shrinks down and he meets all the fairies of the jungle. And there's this one character named Batty, and he's voiced by Robin Williams, and he's a bat who's been experimented on by humans. He's got like these antennas coming out of his head, and he's kind of manic, and he sings this fun song that goes, "I'm Batty. My logic is erratic. Potato in a jacket." Is very fun. I have it. It's categorized in my brain forever as a song from childhood. Anyways, the COVID bats. This picture of the COVID bat getting swabbed reminded me of that.
Some predictive programming. Eh?
Fern Gully.
Let me put the Twitch, just for people, the Twitch link is Canary Cry Radio. So twitch.com or twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. It's not going to be under Face Like the Sun. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. All right. Well, just moving on here. Let's, you want to do this one very quickly. This is just, the CDC saying don't travel. Another spike.
Yeah. Some more travel here. This comes from usnews.com. CDC urges Americans to avoid travel as airport screenings approach pandemic peak. What does that mean? The head of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on Monday urged Americans to avoid travel while warning of a possible avoidable surge in the coronavirus. Much of the travel we know is related to people who are going on spring break, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky said in a press briefing. Quote, "We're worried not just for what happens when you are on the airplane itself, but what happens when people travel. That is, they go out. They mix with people who are not vaccinated." Oh, don't mix with those filthy, unvaccinated
people. They will
people.
mingle with the vaccinated seed.
Oh, the two-tier caste system is beginning. You don't want to mix with the unvaccinated. The Transportation Security Administration on Sunday screened over 1.5 million travelers in airports, the highest number seen in over a year. No kidding. Sunday was also the 11th consecutive day that saw over 1 million screenings. Okay, good. That means people are moving. Quote, "We're so close to vaccinating so many more people," Walensky said, quote, "So I would just encourage people to remind people now is not the time to travel." And while travel ticked up, so did the most recent 7-day average of new cases, according to Walensky. Quote, "The most recent 7-day average is about 53,800 cases per day, which is a slight increase from previous 7-day period." I'm going to skip down a little bit to this quote. "We are at a critical point in this pandemic, a fork in the road where we as a country must decide which path we are going to take," Walensky said, quote, "And I'm worried that if we don't take the right actions now, we'll have another avoidable surge, just as we are seeing in Europe right now, and just as we are so aggressively scaling up vaccination." So there you go, folks. Don't mix with those filthy unvaccinated people. Stick with the good, moral, upstanding citizens. Stay in your home. Don't travel. Don't even breathe. Wear your nose mask, and don't ask questions. This is reminiscent of after 9/11 guns with the terrorism color code system. You remember this?
Yeah.
Where they couldn't keep you from traveling, but they're like, "Oh, well, it's orange today. There's terrorism orange. Watch out. It's worse than yellow, but not as bad as red. So be careful, citizens."
You know, there was after the whole 9/11 thing, there was the underwear bomber. Do you remember him? He had like bomb strapped to his underwear and he was taken aside. And
yeah.
I wonder if there's going to be something similar to that in the in the near future here at airports, like the unvaxxed, I don't don't know. I can't think of anything.
The unvaxxed underwear line? What are you talking about?
I don't know. Because there's always they always have to have the threat to justify continued shutdown.
Yeah.
I guess they don't need it per se with this because it's more of a, the pandemic narrative. Mm-hmm. But I'm just waiting for somebody that's trying to get on, that's not vaccinated or not wearing a mask or something like that. And it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah. It's so sad, Gons. And again, I really don't quite understand. I'm checking the Face Like the Sun channel again. Oh,
yeah. It looks like we lost like half the people that were in there.
I know. It's so simple. All they had to do was click the link to go over to the Canary Cry channel, but hundreds of people didn't. They just left, didn't switch over.
Yeah, well, it's okay.
See, those YouTube people, they know what they're doing. They know that people won't take a second to go over and look at a different channel.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyways, there you go. Don't travel because you'll mix with the untouchables.
Yep. And then one last thing from the Waxine update here. World Health Organization official tweet. Make no mistake, vaccine nationalism is unjust and unwise. True leaders choose vaccine equity.
Vaccine equity?
Vaccine equity.
Wow. This is like a Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, okay. Whoops, I'm on the wrong thing. Where is it? Where are you reading this from?
Scroll down.
I'm down.
It's posted from today, yesterday, March 23rd, 2021. Yeah, it is a really long thread of stuff.
I'm sorry,
from the
I'm
World
just
Health
not seeing
Organization.
the link in our document.
Oh no, it's right here. You can't see my highlight, but it's the last one under Waxine.
The last one under Waxine I have is the one I just read.
Okay, well, you go up to the main show notes section and you'll see it.
Okay, here I go. Ah, yes. Okay, I see it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm so glad that I was following the World Health Organization Twitter account because some real gems pop up there. And they had a whole thread talking about vaccine equity. And it's talking about, let me find some of the good ones. Make no mistake, vaccine nationalism is unjust and unwise. The world is on the brink of a catastrophic moral failure. It is unacceptable that younger, healthier populations in rich countries may get the COVID-19 vaccine before health workers around the world. Sign the Vaccine Equity Declaration, which is hilarious because you've got all these people, especially young people in the United States, bragging, posting on social media about their vaccination. Oh my gosh, look how cool we are. We're no longer in the untouchables. We got vaccinated. And the World Health Organization is shaming them. Shame on you, young people in rich countries, because this is a catastrophic moral failure that there's doctors in other countries and nurses and stuff that have not been vaccinated. And this term, #vaccinequity, this goes back to the social justice, the definition changes, the vocabulary changes. No longer is it about equality, the equality of opportunity, but it's the equity, the equality of outcomes, getting mixed with this vaccine thing. So yeah, shame on you, young people in America getting vaccinated. There are nurses in Zimbabwe who needs the vaccine before you, and you are a filthy, greedy American.
Especially as if most of the American public had any decisions about how this is distributed, Yeah. There was a Hillary Clinton clip too. She came out of the woodwork and she kind of pushed the same idea of like, we need to help other countries get vaccinated and
And it's all part of the brainwashing too, because you're over here, you're a bad person if you don't get vaccinated. Only crazy conspiracy theorists, racists don't get their vaccine. No donut for you, patriot. But then the old switcheroo, again, going back to that toxic relationship thing that we keep going back to, the changing of standards, the urging to get the vaccine and then immediately switching it up. And, oh, you're actually bad. This is a catastrophic moral failure.
Yeah.
This negging for you young Americans getting vaccinated. It's all part of the mind control, folks. And those who have been in abusive relationships will recognize this behavior. It's sick, and the key is to identify it.
Yep, very much so. We have a handful of more stories to go through here. I'm going to do it very quickly, or try to get through them quickly. This first one, it's prophecy.
It's got to be biblical.
Woo! And this is from Bloomberg.com. Let's get rid of time zones, not just daylight savings. There's biological time and global time, and we need to sync with both. That means rethinking our clocks.
Please tell me this is related to like social justice or something. Time zones are racist.
I don't know if it's time zones are racist.
We need temporal equity.
Well, that is a thing. That is a
temporal
thing.
Equity?
Yeah. Okay. It says here the technology and globalization threw a spanner into this harmony. In the mid-19th century, each town and hamlet still kept its own local time based on a sundial, but railroads started carrying folks around faster than their ancestors could have imagined, and telegraphs magically connected them across continents. People suddenly needed standardized schedules to catch a train or get a message. It goes through the whole system of how we got into the time zones.
Yeah.
In general, which
we don't need to know about that. I get it. They want to change the entire world to the 24-hour clock. And, you know, they'll of course base it off of Greenwich Munich time because they're Eurocentric racists. And, you know, suddenly our noon will turn into, let's see, what would the time change be there? Actually, from Greenwich, it wouldn't change too much for us. We're pretty much 12 hours off, I think.
Talk about like a one world, you know, a new world order, one world government.
That's a great, there you go. There
everybody
it is.
On the same time.
Yeah,
standard.
You can't have one world on many time zones. You got to put everybody on the same time zone.
Making time in one sense absolute, setting the clocks to the same number worldwide would be efficient in our global economy. Leaving the interpretation of that number up to us could help resynchronize us with natural light, aiding everything from digestion to sleep. Albert Einstein meant it differently, but in that most important sense, time really is relative. And it just reminded me of a passage here from Daniel 7:25. It talks about Daniel's vision. He talks about the 10 horns or the 10 kings. It's mentioned again in the book of Revelation. It's got something to do with the man of sin. And he says here, and he shall speak great words against the Most High and shall wear out the saints of the Most High and think to change times and laws. Very interesting. What does he mean? Change times. And, some interpretations say sacred festivals and stuff. But, one way to change time is to tell everybody to get on the same clock. So we don't have different hours and we're all confused. So just thought that was an interesting idea here being pushed out there by Bloomberg Opinion.
Yeah, time is racist. Temporal equity for all.
Time is racist, and
no borders, no time zones.
Oh, I like the old time system. You old world racist.
Old world racist.
Okay, so this next one, I love this. I just love it.
This girl must be practicing witchcraft.
In headline of the episode, South China Morning Post. Man in China claiming to be Taoist master, offering breast implants with mind control and witchcraft, has authorities worried.
Oh my gosh, has authorities worried? What is there to worry about?
Welcome to Chinese Show!
Wow. Hold on, we got to read that again. Man in China claiming to be Taoist master, offering breast implants with mind control and witchcraft, has authorities worried. Okay, tell me more.
The picture here is just so weird. It's got 3 women standing there with blurred out faces, and this guy just like using the double finger point.
Yeah,
I guess that's witchcraft, mind control.
He's got Gons, I don't know if you know this about me, but I've watched all the Marvel movies within the past 20 days. I'm a bit of an expert now, and I'm pretty sure witchcraft mind control breast implant man needs a place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
A man in northern China who claims to be able to use mind control to enhance the size of women's breasts may be in hot water after releasing a video of himself using his quote-unquote powers on 27 women simultaneously. The video clip that emerged on March 17th has since gone viral, shows the middle-aged man who calls himself the Guhao Master standing opposite a line of women waving his hand and drawing circles in the air. After walking past all 27 of the women, the man, who says he's a master of Taoism, claimed they would have larger breasts. The women in the video appear to act as promoters for the Guhao Master's services, although there's no verification of their claims either. Quote, my breast circumference was 87 centimeters before the session. It increased to 91 centimeters after the master performed his magic skills.
Wow,
a woman said in a video. Yeah, you can probably get that after eating a couple of Krispy Kreme donuts. Quote, then he did it again. Oh, my breast circumference grew to 93 centimeters. Okay, I don't think we need to read the rest of this. But,
where does the witchcraft come in?
Well, I mean, that's the part of it.
Oh, he claimed his treatments were Zhu Yu Shu, an ancient Chinese form of witchcraft.
Wow. The video also caught the attention of officials in the region. Religious authorities say he is a fraud and filed his case to the police, while a market regulatory body is investigating the self-proclaimed guru.
I love the idea that the CCP, the communist, the Chinese Communist Party, you know, in their endless bureaucracy, there was some bureaucrat in the depths of a concrete building who's basically a rubber stamper, just trying to stay away, you know, knowing that the panopticon, the surveillance of the Chinese government, the prying eyes are on everything. And this comes across his desk. And I like to think that bureaucrat says, wow, this guy really had something figured out.
I mean, he slipped through the cracks. Can't let this guy through. This guy figured it out.
We must disappear this man. This is threatening to our way of life.
According to the Beijing News, the chairman of Zhejiang Taoism Association, Li Zhongyan, said the man is not a member of any Taoist institutions in the region, nor a converted follower of the religion. In the report, Li alleged the man was, quote, purely a swindler who, quote, deceives wildly.
Wildly.
Like deceives wildly.
This man is out of control.
Quote,
wow.
We have reported the scam to police and are waiting for the investigation results of the police, Li was quoted as saying. Okay. Well, I just...
this man be practicing witchcraft.
Quote unquote, we will deal with the case according to law, Li was quoted saying.
What law?
I don't know.
Which one? How do you throw the book at this guy? Put this man away.
This girl must be practicing witchcraft.
Okay, well, I got a little surveillance thing here for you. Speaking of the panopticon.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
This is coming from prnewswire.com. The headline, Camera Eye introduces first artificial intelligence, smart fence, and pool safety ecosystem for faster distress and near drowning detection to help save lives. Oh, that's quite a mouthful. Whoa.
It's kind of a longer thing.
Camera Eye is reinventing swimming pool safety by introducing the first artificial intelligence pool smart fence and safety ecosystem to provide faster distress and near drowning detection to help save lives. Then there's some scare tactics here talking about 3,500 annual fatal unintentional drowning related accidents in the U.S. alone. 15% more drowning related accidents have occurred since the COVID-19 pandemic. No, 15% more drowning related accidents have occurred since the government's COVID-19 pandemic response, which locked people on their properties and made them go swimming and they drowned.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, this that's interesting, and I see how it can help, if you have a kid that can't swim or something like that. But I would probably trigger this thing off multiple times.
Because you would drown?
No, because the article talks about how it checks your body motion and rhythms and stuff.
So just real quick, to be clear, this is like a camera system that watches you swim around.
Right.
And detects if you're drowning. So it's really pervy, actually.
Super.
If you got kids or your wife or your husband or whatever, and they're out swimming and there's a artificial intelligence just snooping on them the whole time.
Yeah. And I like to, if I'm just perusing in the pool, I'll do the thing where I go completely limp.
Yeah, the dead man float.
And the dead man float. And sometimes I'll blow all my air out, sink to the bottom there and just kind of stay there for a few seconds.
Yeah, I can see that. Feel the void around you. Yeah. What it would be like to just drift off.
Yeah, well, I mean,
So, I get you, man. I get you. Life is hard sometimes.
So yeah, I think I would trigger the system.
Yeah, I wonder if they're able to detect whether somebody's just doing the dead man float.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, so there's
no pool is safe.
No pool is safe now. No, every pool will be watched in detail. And we got one last thing here. It's a deep fake update.
We are in deep fake.
This is the sciencetimes.com. Deepfake, 50-year-old man tricks followers into thinking he's a young Japanese female biker.
Yeah.
Nothing surprising there. Headline kind of gives it away.
This got a lot of attention.
Did it really?
This was everywhere. It was kind of weird, but mainly because I think a lot of people were ashamed because, really got tricked by this guy. He did a deep fake of himself. Was a good looking Asian woman was the deep fake. And then did the big reveal. The funny part is his hair is still majestic and beautiful.
I know,
it's his real hair.
Exactly the same. Long golden hair for whatever reason.
I think the reason this got so much attention was because, so many people got caught simping over this Asian biker girl.
Yeah. There's a quote from the guy here. He says, no one will read what a normal middle-aged man taking care of his motorcycle and taking pictures outside posts on his account, he said. Mm-hmm. And that's when he decided to experiment with photo editing apps to alter his photos by making him look like a young female person. So I don't even think it was video. I think it was just pictures.
Yeah, right. It was like his whole account was he had everybody tricked that he was like this young, good looking lady. We'll read into it a little bit. A deepfake technology story has gone viral over the weekend when popular Twitter user in Japan with the username Azusagakuyuki has revealed his true identity. His followers know him as a young female biker, but in reality, he is a 50-year-old man. His name is Zongu, an avid biker, and dedicates his channel to showcase anything about motorcycles. According to IFL Science, Zongu admitted on the TV show Getsuyu Karayofukashi, Monday Late Show, that people were not watching his content when he was not using the deepfake technology. No one will read what a normal middle-aged man taking care of his motorcycle and taking pictures outside posts on his account, he said. That was when he decided to experiment with the photo editing apps to alter his photos by making him look like a young female person. There are a lot of face-changing apps available online, yada, yada, yada. After using the deepfake technology, Zongu noticed an increase in his followers and likes on his videos. Eventually, Zongu told BBC News that he got carried away with the app as he tried to make the photo cuter. It happens, man. We all get carried away sometimes. He had wanted to increase his social media presence and believed that people would much prefer a young female biker than a middle-aged man. But despite this revelation, the show received mostly positive reviews from his over 25,000 followers, with some even saying that they became a fan when knowing about him on the TV show. Yeah, so there you go. I think he's onto something, man. You know, I'm not showing my face, so I think I should create a beautiful young woman and use that deep fake. See, as you can tell in the past couple episodes, I'm kind of... Look, the deep fake thing, whether it's audio of our voice or it's our face or whatever, it's inevitable, Gons. It's going to happen. Somebody else is going to AI-ify our content and start, printing AI, the Canary Cry News Talk. We might as well take control. The inevitability is here. And while we're at it, we'll turn me into a beautiful young Asian woman.
Oh, gosh.
Then we can both be POCs, Gons. I can know what it's like.
All right. And then I can pretend to be a magical witchcraft Taoist master.
I was going to say, Amber says Basil needs to visit the Taoist master boob enhancer.
Well, this whole thing reminded me of a movie called Surrogates, 2009, I believe, with what's that? There's a star in the movie.
Cool.
I forget his name. What's his name?
I don't know. I've never seen this movie.
He's like an action hero star. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up because I forgot.
I can only name Marvel
Bruce
actors.
Willis. Thank you, Kimmy Kimco in the chat. So there's a scene in there, and I couldn't find the scene, but I'll play the intro here because it's so relevant. There's a scene where this guy thinks he's hooking up with a beautiful young woman, and turns out that the actual person behind the surrogate was like this old man. It's like old, or like an old, large obese man or something like that.
Yeah.
But talk about predictive programming here. This is the intro to the film, and again, this was I think 2009. And it goes through the years. I'll read some of the text on the screen here, and then the audio will sort of speak for itself. So this is the intro to Surrogates 2009. Touchstone Pictures presents.
Look at yourselves. Unplug from your chairs, get up and look in a mirror. What you see is how God made you. We're not meant to experience the world through a machine.
Surrogates.
Okay.
14 years ago.
What you're telling me is that the monkey is operating this arm with nothing but his thoughts. Absolutely.
Which we've reported on.
There are 100 sensors, each listening to a different brain cell or neuron.
Yep.
Physically disabled people will be able to operate fully synthetic bodies. It provides a tremendous amount of hope for the future.
Are you ready to be cyborg 11 years ago?
Because of the technology that we have, at a time of war, we're going to start seeing this more and more.
As manufacturing capacity expanded from military and industrial use, surrogates became affordable to the general public, causing a revolution in how we live.
A lot of the footage is
leave your
real.
home without risk of disease or injury. They have perfect looks without trips to the gym or plastic surgery.
There is no question that at some point there will be persons like anyone else. They will not be human, but that they will be part of our community, there's no question in my mind. The decision came down 5-4 that the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the use of surrogates in daily life.
Ooh. Government here.
Right now, we are witnessing an event that is of an evolutionary significance.
7 years ago.
According to VSI, the industry's leading manufacturer, over 98% of the world population uses surrogate in all facets of their daily life.
We're in the midst of profound changes. The things that were once unimaginable have become inevitable.
Since the global embrace of surrogacy, crime rates have dropped to record lows.
We've witnessed an incredible reduction in violent crime, communicable disease, and discrimination. Problems that have plagued societies for centuries, solved almost overnight.
We are the creators. We will be making them
do everything for us, all in one machine.
3 years ago.
But there is a minority who actively oppose surrogates and are moving to limit their use.
Many people will see this as the invasion of the inhuman.
They've established reservations or surrogacy-free zones in major cities around the country.
They are led by Zaire Powell, or as he is better known to his followers, the Prophet.
Those machines walking around out there, they're alive. You have been sold alive.
Present day, and that's how the movie starts. So,
the prophet speaks.
The prophet speaks. So there you go. That's just a little predictive programming for you. The surrogate.
Yeah, I think it worked. I didn't even see the movie, and I got predictively programmed. Been talking about the inevitability of the deep fakes.
The Supreme Court saying everybody could use surrogates, and then the drop in crime. You know, the things that plagued mankind for centuries is being solved by everybody stepping into a little, chair and then living life through a machine robot surrogate.
Yeah.
And, the
Avatar, VR connects with the VR, connects with the VR, everything.
The anti-groups, the groups that oppose it popping up all over
Racists.
the nation. Yeah. Classists, racists.
Yeah.
And then, it gets into the whole thing there. So, yeah, I just thought it was interesting. And it just reminded me of that story, or reminded me of a scene from that movie, the story about the 50-year-old Japanese man pretending to be a young woman to get followers on social media. So,
totes.
Yep. It used to be just a story headline or a movie. And now it's, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. It used to be a movie and now it's part of our
inevitability.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Sounds good. We all good?
I think we're good.
Wow. 3.5 hours again.
I know. We got to shorten these.
Look at all this content, folks. And make sure to tune in next time, which is going to be on Friday, March 26th. Put it on your calendar. If you haven't done it yet, especially if you had to switch channels, please go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and make sure to turn on notifications.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
That's right. And we'll be back one more time, circling around on, we'll circle back on Friday, the 26th.
Circle back, but I'll have to circle back.
That's right. And we'll need some producers for Friday, folks. It's a little light today, but that's okay. If you're out there and you gained any value from what Gonz and I do on this show, please consider becoming a producer. We can only continue doing the show if the producers keep producing. And there's a few ways you can do that. You can head over to patreon.com/CCNT. Or if Patreon's not your thing, you can go ahead and head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
You know, one thing took me by surprise today, Gonz. Usually, some producers, maybe they don't come in between shows, but they'll swoop in during the show. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have any producers come in during the show. That might be the first time that's ever happened. But there you go. Head on over to canarycryradio.com/support. We can only keep doing the show, but with the help of our producers. Now, you can do that with your time, your talent, or your treasure. If financially supporting the show is not in the cards for you, that's okay. We still need producers to help out with creating jingles, creating music. I think maybe we've got the Canary Cry mixtape again. Is that back in action?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot shorter than what you're used to. Maybe 2 or 3 tracks at the most.
It's back by degrees.
I'm going to have to DJ the whole thing without hearing what's actually being played, which will be an interesting experiment.
Technology is hard. Yeah. Well, there you go. If you haven't heard the Canary Cry mixtape yet, stick around after the show because we got some great tunes created by producers of the show, about the show, for the show. It's a great time. Also, if you are a creative person of any kind, whether it's music or jingles or art, you can go ahead and create something for the show. We'd love to feature it on Friday. Go ahead and send that to canarycryradio@gmail.com if you like it easy, or canarycryradio@protonmail.com if you like to keep it secret from the prying eyes of, I don't know, hackers. There you go. So yes, we're very excited about that. Thank you to all of our producers of this episode of Canary Cry News Talk, episode 315. And that is producers, Mrs. JC Budgie, producers, Shield Labs, Vladimir and Christopher H. Thank you so much. And as well to Jade Bouncerson and all of our artists for helping make this episode possible. Now, maybe helping out with your treasure or your talent is not for you, but you can still help out the show in a myriad of ways. You can share the show, share it out on your social media. You can leave a rating and review. That's very important. I'll be reading ratings and reviews on Friday. So if you have not done that, what are you waiting for? Please leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. Just go to Apple Podcasts and search Canary Cry News Talk. Leave a rating and a review, and you can hear it on Friday. But more than anything, you should share the show with your friends and family. You got people in your life who are starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems. And I think we're a pretty smooth transition from asleep to woke, Gons. And if you got people in your life who are starting to wake up, please go ahead and share the show with them. They're going to love it, and you'll have something to talk about finally. We like to call it rattling cages. And if you have any other questions, here's what you do. You walk right up, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. All right, Gons, any last words?
Don't fear, because we were not given a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and self-control, or a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. Walking it, folks.
Yeah.
Walking it.
There you go. Walking it. This is the way. All right. Thanks, everybody. Remember, we'll be circling back around on Friday, March 26th. So make sure you are subscribed, put it on your calendar, and tune in for the live show on Friday. Let's see. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
You're turning into a woman as I speak.
I'm trying something else out. Konnichiwa. Ohayou gozaimasu.
You can't handle the truth. Hallelujah.
We should invite fewer people to be born.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
They are scum.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!